Amen. Nachimbona mata kurika topic yandoda kutanga kutaura noda ndamboteura zvishomani ndambona mata ukaona uchimuka richiswera uchisvika nguva ino usina unamata kana takubata matopic akadai so aya anoshungurudza dhiriwo rairo vanogara mudhiriwo dhiriwo rarembanje gara mudhiriwo rairo dhiriwo rarembanje nogara mudhiriwo vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo raembanje gara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo rarembanje nogara mudhiriwo ravakomana dhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo vakomana vanogara mudhiriwo rarembanje vanogara mudhiriwo musatambe navo vanogara mudhiriwo rarembanje nogara mudhiriwo ravakomana kashtigu pride chama zviri kufamba remwana wamai regai nditange nekurudunura naye tichangopinda sokutaura kuti zvinakidze naye seyuda robert chirinda zviri kudini baba chirinda zviri kufamba here regai tange tarova masalupu maona nhasi tapinda nekuteura nekunamata tikati mwari makanaka hanzi unotanga watenda mwari usati watanga kutaura zvaroda kutaura iti mwari ndipei mazwi ekutaura kuti ruzhinji rwezimbabwe rugoziva long time, really long time. Itai kuti mwari ndipei mazwi ekutaura ndidzidzise ruzhinji rwezimbabwe rugoziva kwatiri kubva nekwatiri kuenda nezvatiri kuda kuita kutozviita rini kana zvishinge zvaitika. Hanzi today's topic I'm looking at too despotic. That means we are looking at tyrannical oppression from a despotic regime that is led by a tyrann. Hanzi tenge tichireva kuti taakutanga kutaura nezvemunhu watiri kutaura nezvake akaendesa nyika kumawere. Nyika yaenda kumawere vakomana. Ndarwadziwa nhasi handimuri kuona ndanonoka kuuya live on Facebook. This is 19 past 10. Kune kwandanga ndaenda kunoita sort out maissues emazimbabweans. And this, you know, I'm not very happy with what I saw today. Even mufaro wangu nhasi wanga wakadzikisirwa zvikuru. Ndanga ndisina kunyatsofara. That why is it this birthday is coming exactly 2 days before commemoration of my late hero 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗃, abducted on the 14th of May 2008, exactly 17 years gone now since my colleague was abducted and murdered by ZANU-PF. It's a touching moment that we are going to approach the 2023 commemoration of 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗃 without my friend being there for you and for me. South Africa, what is taking place there? I'm not sure about South Africa myself. I will look into what South Africa is, what's happening in South Africa, so that we keep updating each other. Probably tomorrow. Tonight, I'm talking about what I've seen today. What I've seen today in the United Kingdom. Early in the morning, I received a call today. Someone, a very close friend of mine, told me that he has got a friend, a female friend who just arrived in the United Kingdom from Zimbabwe on care-sponsored visas. Care-sponsored visas. Mkoma ida nasi ndapinda in time. Ya tabatana mkoma kusikumbo. A friend of mine, his female friend came from Zimbabwe on a care-sponsored visa. So this gentleman lives far from Middlesbrough, but this woman came to Middlesbrough. It's a touching story. It's a touching story. It's a very touching story, which, hey, I didn't want to share it, but I've spoken to my friend. He said people in Zimbabwe must know this. What happened to this woman? She's not a woman as such. As far as I've noticed, she's like a girl. Well, she's very young, around 24, 25 years of age. I doubt if she's got a child, because I didn't ask a lot about having a child, this and that. No, shamwari yangu inozofunga kuti Shapiro anenge atove interested neshamwari yangu. So I just went there to help. She arrived 3 weeks ago from Zimbabwe. She came on care-sponsored visas. So when you come, you've got a sponsor who brings you, the Atetalis really say, who brings you to the United Kingdom. And that sponsor must ensure that when you come to this country, you're going to have enough hours to work, because the purpose of bringing you here is there is still shortage of care workers in this country. So as a result, the Home Office has allowed recruiters to recruit direct from Zimbabwe if someone there knows how to do care job. So when she came here, she was promised everything. You're going to get accommodation. There is accommodation. There's enough shifts for you to do your work. So when she came here for the past 3 weeks, she did not work. She did not get the shifts. So my friend called me and said, do you know anyone who does that type of agents to try and help get employment? Because for the past 3 weeks, she has been seated in this country. She hasn't been doing anything. Now we are going into a 4th week. Today is Friday. She's going into a 4th week. And this sponsor said he's going to provide for accommodation for about 3 or so months before this person starts settling on his own. Mkoma Edi is really say. Surprisingly, when she came, she was accommodated in a one room, because it's a shared accommodation. She was accommodated there. Unfortunately, she was told that she has to pay for a accommodation. One room is costing about 80 pounds per week. And for the past 3 weeks, she hasn't worked. She needs to pay accommodation. Then this guy, the owner of the agents, is now evicting her to say, look, you failed to pay accommodation. I can't pay for your accommodation. You need electricity, you need gas, you need warm water, you need quite a lot of things, and you need food on top of that. But since she came from Zimbabwe, she never worked. She never earned anything. So as a result, my friend is under pressure to try and find accommodation for this girl, to try and find if she can. Guys, to be honest with you, those COS sponsors, please, can you tell the people of Zimbabwe the truth when they are applying for these visas? Tell them the situation, how it is like in this country, because they are discovering it, that it's not rose, it's not what they think. The worst thing is, she said to me, my dad had to sell a house so that we can pay for this COS visa to come to the UK and work. So I thought when I come to this country, I'll go and work and eventually buy another property for my parents. But unfortunately, what I'm seeing it is like I will never, even if I say 5 years in this country, working as a care worker, I will never raise enough money to buy the property that my parents sold so that I can come to this country. You know, at that time, I felt my tears trickling down my cheeks. This is when I said, my sister, the problem is when you guys are in Zimbabwe, when we are telling you that things are not rose in this country, you think probably we are blocking you not to come to this country. So, as a result, some people are bringing you here, one, for you to see reality in this country, to see reality. Two, if you were someone angari kumusha achingokumbira, kune vamwe vanhu vanenge vari kumusha achingokumbira mari, ndokumbirawo mari, ndokumbirawo mari, ndokumbirawo mari, ukamutaurira kuti handina, thank you mukoma muzuru, thank you so much. Ukamutaurira munhu iye kuti handina mari, anofunga kuti uri kumunyepera, because they think the United Kingdom that some people came long time ago or in 2000 is the same United Kingdom that we live in. Things are different, ladies and gentlemen. There are a lot of people unemployed in this country. There are a lot of people unemployed in this country. And there are a lot of people starving in this country. So if your relative came around the 2000 and so forth, then if you are one person who is saying, please, ndipe omari, unfortunately, hakuna ane mari. Don't ignore it in front of him. Gary Tkola, how are you? My brother Gary, hey, is here. I like this gentleman, man. Yeah. Problem, you eat dogs. You are eating. I saw you eating a dog's head in America. I said, what? Is this the Gary that I know? Gary, how are you, my brother? I'm joking. No, it was like a pig's head. I said, Gary, what is Gary eating? Something looking like a dog. Yeah? So I'm so touched with what I saw, guys. Don't ignore my requests. Okay. The problem now, Gary, is I have to reinstall my Facebook page because it is not allowing me to add people. When I add people, the volume goes. So today is unfortunate. Let's do it probably tomorrow. After this presentation, I will delete the Facebook page and then reinstall it so that it can come with updates, and then I will be able to add people. It's so sad that I can't add people. Just must be wise. Kutengesa mombe, kutenge gauge, you can't sell the house. Yeah, she said her parents sold the house so that she can pay for a COS visa to come to the United Kingdom. So she was calculating the expense, and right now, since she came, she never got a job. She never got a job. She never got a shift. And do you know how much, and I wish many people back home can listen to this. Yeah, it's so difficult. It's so difficult because people back home, they know that I want to go to England. They don't understand what people are facing after they come to this country. As a result, women are at a disadvantage. Once they found themselves in them, okay, Mfanam, you know I love you, my brother. Thank you, my brother Gary. I love you too, my brother. Although you are mundere but we are Zimbabweans. I love you, my brother. Love you so much. It was nice to have you here, but let's try tomorrow. If I reinstall my Facebook page. So, guys, this is the story. So I went to meet this sister from Zimbabwe. She was in tears. The disadvantage that women have now is someone has been telling them, if you go to United Kingdom, you might have murungu anokurora. They are looking for white people to get married. Probably she might convert a visa to probably citizen or whatever, refugee. I don't understand what they intend to. So she was asking me, is it possible, Shepherd, for me to get like a white man to get married to? I said, to be honest with you, I've been in this country for 14 years now. I've never seen someone get married to a white man. Ndinongoziva vanatete vedu vandoona vazhinji vatosangana navo especially pafacebook vakarorwa nevachena nevarungu, but not all people are getting married to white people. This country does not have Zimbabweans only. It has got a different or a variety of African citizens, some from Sierra Leone, as far as Sierra Leone, and to Zimbabwe, Mauritius. Every African national is in this country, and every African national is looking for a white man to marry her, and to the extent that even white ladies are now starved. They can't get what they want. They just look around for a black man for marriage, and you are lucky if you can get one, a quality husband or a quality lady when it comes to this marriage. Hilda is really saying, I'm telling you, that question to me is so clear. You might be lucky, they just run around. Varume vemuno mu UK vanowanika kubawa. Vakadzi vemuno mu UK vanotorana kubawa. Ndozvandamutaurira. Or else you can go to university, but achaenda kuuniversity, and I don't think kuti ane mari yacho. Ane mari yacho because as a refugee, so she obviously has to pay for a degree. If you are a foreigner in this country, you need to fork out about 15,000 pounds a year. So COS visas, for you to raise 15,000 pounds a year is school fees only, without accommodation, food, clothing, and supporting people back home. It is very difficult, very difficult. But probably your salary, une COS visa, it will be about 20,000 pounds or less. So uduzo visa 15,000 ubhadhare kuchikoro chete uzotanga manje kuda kudya kuita sei. That is very difficult for the next 3 years. Apa unenge uchida kuenda kubasa, uchida kuenda kunoverenga kwacho, it is very difficult for people coming from home, or especially on COS visas. So as a result, vamwe they are opting to kuroorwa kana kuita vana. Ameno munhu akavanyepera kuti ukauya muno ibva waita nhumbu nekukasira ukaita mwana, the government will take care of you. You are on a different visa. Your visa is a working visa. It's a working visa. It's not a refugee visa. It's a working visa. Ukaita mwana ukazvara, hausati wamboshanda, hausati wamboenda kubasa, hausati waunganidza mari inokwana kuti uzvichengete, unless kana waona murume ane mari anokuchengeta, it's fine. But kana usina, hey, it's an uphill task again. You end up wadzokera kumusha, apa watakura mwe mutoro wakabva kumusha usina. British citizens are leaving Britain for Africa and Australia. They said the cost of living is very high. Definitely, the cost of living in this country now has skyrocketed. It is very, very high. So, this is the situation that I met, ladies and gentlemen, today. I feel for this lady. Hey, I feel for her. Unoziva pane pamwe pekumboti unomboti reganungomita second wife. Uzoona kuti hey, unenge wazviremedza futi. Because ukatora bag risina chinhu kuti urisenge baba, rizozara chinhu, rizotanga kuve kunzi bag rakutakura rarema, panenge pane nyaya. Saka we don't want to Zimbabwe men as well. Please don't take advantage of these women. Let's not take advantage of their ignorance. They just came to this country. They need to be taught. They need to be shown ways dzekurarama. Muno vamwe vanhu vagara for 20 or 30 years vasina kana mapepa, but they are surviving. saka adzitora youth hazviite. It will be like taking an advantage because hey, the desperatism yaanayo haana so far haana pekugara, so far haana pekugara. Saka ndazofonera friend yangu pane, I've got a very good female friend kuno anogara kuMiddlesbrough ikoko. Ndamufonera ndikamuti shamwari, please apa pakutoda your help. Zvikanzi but Shepherd mamirira zvakaita ndine vana ndoita sei? Mambofunga kaviri here mukomo? Ya ndagaya kaviri because desperatism yaari because anogona kurara mubridge. To be honest with you, this country is very cold. Ukarara mubridge une pekugeza it's fine, but ukarara mubridge usina pekugeza hey zvinokunetsa because haana mari at the moment, haana kana sendera naro, haana mari. Saka ndo chimwe chinhu chandaona paanga achema. Ukatasa miromo yanga yakachena nzara, zvezvatotaura kuti kunana UK atambure hatife nenzara. Nhasi ndaona mashura, muromo wese wanga wakachena kuti wake nenzara. Kana kutora picture so munhu yatire selfie ndatoona kuti hazviite. Saka ndazofonera friend of mine anogara kuMiddlesbrough, ane vana but anditi uya naye kuno kuShepherd tione kuti what best can we do, how best can we help here. Saka ndazoenda naye kufriend yangu kuMiddlesbrough. Ndasvika ndobva anga achangobvawo kubasa, ndobva amuti mainini panapa ndomamirira pakaita pakamira so ndogona unogona kurara hako pa dining muno mazvina problem. Handine chimwe chimatress changu chekupomba, mvura yekugeza iripo, chikafu ndinokuti ndotenga. It's so sad. It's so sad. Can the Zimbabwe embassy in the UK not help? Atina Zimbabwe embassy, tine ZANU-PF head office. The problem is we don't have an embassy in this country. Zimbabweans do not have. We are going to come together with a lot of Zimbabweans. We need to unganidza mari yedu tutenge a house yatoti embassy yedu. We need an embassy because at the moment we've got a ZANU-PF head office in London. That is not an embassy because it is not doing the ambassadorial roles, but it's doing the ZANU-PF roles. So we don't have an embassy at the moment in this country, and those people can't help because most of those guys at Harare, at Zimbabwe headquarters, ZANU-PF headquarters in London, they are working. They don't work there permanently. They work there about 2 days a week. I think 5 days they will be doing care work in London and Oregon. Saka if you go to Zimbabwe embassy, unogona kushaya munhu paipai vari kumabasa kuma-care work vachita ma-care work vatsvaga mari. Saka we cannot say we've got a Zimbabwe embassy. Atina. It is ZANU-PF a head office mukomadeni. Zviri kufamba sei. Chando chemuEngland chakaipa manje, ukarara panze asi taitoswekwa Holinda. Chando chemuEngland chakaipa, bvunza taitoswekwa Holinda. Muzukuru wangu akazotora murume akufa nechando akurara panze. Because problem iri apa ndeyekuti mbana uyo akafunga kuti pamwe uda zvandapinda muEngland munomu ndadiwa vakadzi vemunomu amene kana akabva kuZimbabwe aneke mentality kekuti kuEngland hanzi kune vakadzi vari desperate. Ndo zvinoita maZimbabweans kana vachiuya, they think women here in UK are desperate. No, they are not desperate, but there are people who were focused. When they came to this country, they knew what they wanted. Women from Zimbabwe, they knew that they came here to look for money. Most of them had no time for men. They were working 2-3 shifts a day. Kuti achibva pane imwe shift anongogeza kumeso opinda pane imwe shift, aubuda futi mangwana opinda pane imwe shift. Saka at the end aishanda more hours. They had no time to look for men. But problem yapo manje, most of them vakukura manje. Imagine when you came to this country, if you were 20 in 2000, you are now 40. You see, watokura. For the past 20 years, vanhu vaishanda vatsvaga mari. Now, wane 40 years. Kana wakauya une 30, wane 50. And saka pavakauya vazhinji vakadzi, they had no time for men. They had no time for men. They had no time for men. They had time to work. A lot of people worked. They got money. Some bought properties back home. Now miri yakura manje, nyama dzachembera. mwanga asina kana nemwana akuda kutsvaga mwana and so forth, mwanga asina murume akuda murume and so forth. Kuti vachiwana varume vesize at around 50 years hapasina. Unenge wakunhonga madhara echirungu aya, pamwe akafirwawo kana akarambwa nemukadzi, kana wakunhonga marombe ekuZimbabwe. Mune marombe ekumushaka mune marombe ekumusha ekuti kubva auya 20 days aingonwa doro nekubhema fodya, akutsvaga munhu anomuchengeta. Saka vakadzi the end up wangozonhongawo iro rombe roro uchengeta, ungochengetawo. Unoziva kuti unongotora ugezisa, andoona. Saka chando chemunoma chakaipa. Ukabvunza taitana anokutaura kuti shetu resort back kwaOlinda, muzukuru wangu uya anochengeta, mwana wesoko wetsokoka, saka anochengeta. Vana mukanya we are gifted, especially pakuchengeta vakadzi kana kuchengeta varume. Vana mukanya we are so gifted, andoona. So that is the situation, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I witnessed today, and it's so stressful. Pandashitarisa sonadzwa musodzi yangu kuchema kubuda, saka ndazongobatsira chete pane friend yangu Middlesbrough, ndikamuti ingoma accommodate for probably few weeks. Kana atanga basa anotsvaga pake, at least anenge akuziva vanhu, andoona. Saka aroda kuestablishwa kuna vanhu vakawanda manje. I know a lot of people vane mabusinesses, vanda make agents and so forth. Anzolinda afunga barika muzukuru boss kampana kari too soft for love, kanenge ka toy boy, soft for love. Rudo arude soft karoda zuzu mabhinya yokuti ukabata mukadzi neruoko rwakadai ndurunditsika usanditsike. Ndakambonzi nemukadzi wangu kanzi rarusi ruoko rweromenzi, ndikati amaya adoona mamba mangu kanzi ndikati ndochera ndotimba garden, ona maoko anga akwashara ndotimba garden, ndobata madhaka emunotsemuka kanzi ano asi maoko ashe padhanda iziva aya kutange pasi petsoka so. Saka iyi nyika ino yakaoma guys. Saka ameno those who are in Zimbabwe who still think that England is rose, we don't know. Life might change, things might change. If you have got chance, of course you try your luck, come and find out. But vazhinji vari kuti kana zvavaomera vakuno mwanongoti kanitsvaga yekudzokera kumba nunu vamwe. Because if you can raise about 8,000 pounds uri kuZimbabwe, 8,000 pounds kunokuitse salary ye1 year. Mari yawakaunganidza uchibhadhara COS visa 6,000 and so forth, kwira ndege kuita sei, kunokuitse 1 year salary. 1 year salary, 8,000 pounds, it's 1 year salary for a care worker. Saka if you can raise that uri kuZimbabwe, 8,000 pounds, I think you are better off there than this side. Olinda, you don't big, it's too close home. I can't comment about for that reason. Yeah, no imwe problem yekuti paukama mkomadeni mutupo uyu, mutupo wakaipa. Because mutupo ndo unotibatanidza. Sometimes this is why you see I don't comment much about Olinda. Kana akanzi aita zvakaita sei vakapopota nokosekawo 1 or 2 jokes about her, but I don't want to dwell on her, discussing her much, considering mutupo. Bozi zvakafanana na Dr. Thomas Tafire nyika mapfumo, kuti munhu akamataka so ndonzwa kurwadziwa because you are attacking me. Ndosaka muchiona kana makambotasa kana maposts angu kazhinji, I don't usually attack General Chiwenga. Even talking much about Chiwenga, I don't talk much about Chiwenga because chinhu chakaipa mutupo. Because ndikafa inini Chiwenga anogona kundiviga, kana pakashayika hama inondiviga, Chiwenga can bury me pamutupo. Andimuri kuona zvafana Thomas Mukanya, kana if anything happens una Mukanya ndiripo, I can bury him. Andimona. Saka chinokosha tadya food yakanaka wakarara. Sorry zvapo. Ndakumutsa ukati not hungry, so tangokusiya tikati.
Did you take the picture like what I said? I wasn't sleeping like it. I said, did you take a picture one day?
Picture yechikafu. ndichakuratidza daiva ndiri palive.
Watera here?
That was.
Nosonsendera later.
Alright.
Ndichaga juice.
Sugar juice?
Juice.
That was on the power. Sorry guys, and I can't comment about for that reason. Definitely. Same reason in any Mkomadeni. Definitely I can't ndikaona vanhu vachataka ulinda sometimes ndongorwadzirwa kungoti muzukuru andoona mutupo chinhu ndounokosha chinonzi mutupo vana mukanya vana soko inini kana zvafanana Chiwenga ndikada kutaura something bad about Chiwenga ndonzwa ndichisungikana so but this is my blood, you know. If I say something bad about him, it's like I'm attacking myself. It's a matter of principles, Jamwari. Kana Chiwenga achiuraya vanhu unonyarara just because of mutupo. Zvinonetsa Mkomabiyo. Because kana achiuraya vanhu achita sei, because you never know, ngozi yacho inogona kuuya kwatiri pamutupo. Andoona. Dai kuri ndine mukana wokutaura naye ndai mntu mudhara, imboitaiwo zvinhu zvakanaka zvokuti mutupo wedu unokudzwa nevanhu. Andoona. But sometimes pane pambouti ndinotaura handinyarare, but I feel like I'm attacking myself. You know, ndozvakaipira mutupo manje. Ndozvakaipira mutupo. Because mutupo kana wakuomberwa, magara pasi makuombererwa unzi chengetai mwana uyu, azi unotsiurika. Saka unotsiuraka. Tiri kuzama kutsiura Mkomabiyo. I've tried. Dai kuti General Chiwenga munhu anoteerera nekunzwa, by now ingadai akachinja maitiro. Akuziva kuti vanhu vandiri kuurayawo. Uda jacket ready. Kuti vanhu vandiri kuurayawo, ndiri kuuraya vanhu vedzinza rangu. Andiri kuona. Because panenge pachiurawa vanhu vachiurawa nezano. Panenge pachiurawa vana soko vachifa ipapo. Tough like atina muti unoera demo tinoundra straight. I know. So guys, that is the situation iri kuno UK. Kuti those who are in Zimbabwe who think of going for COS visas, try your luck. Atina kuti usatry, but no kuti kwauri kuenda mazino embo kunenge kwakapenga anditoona. So that is the situation, ladies and gentlemen. Saka, let's get into the topic of today. Now you got one was the situation. Ati tudidze Chipambi ndo chokwadi chocho Mkoma justice kuti Chipambi achidiwe, especially vana mukanya. There's something wrong vana mukanya, but tinongotsiurana saizvozvo kuti shamwari chinhu chinoyera apa mutupo kuti rambe tichingoti ningi ichera mutupo umwe chete. Zvinhu zvinoyera, zvinhu zvinonetsa, tirambe tichikutsura. Tinotaura hatizonyarari, but hey, pakaipa ipapo. So today guys, we are looking into things that there's Zimbabwe. If you look at Zimbabwe, where we are today, we are like a third world country. We are a third world country, and people need to understand a lot what a third world country is. I know kuti vanhu patinenge tichingotaura nyaya dzoti we are a third world country, we are a third world country, people do not understand zvatinenge tichitaura. Saka ndaona kuti zvakanaka nhasi kuti tite look into it, kuti chii chinonzi third world country. What problems are we facing, especially if we are under a despotic regime like the ZANU-PF regime. I'm talking about this topic because we are towards 2023 elections. Very soon, the date of elections is going to be proclaimed, and the people will start toy-toying. ZANU-PF has started toy-toying since they saw our victory in 2018. It never stopped toy-toying. This is why you see President Nelson Chamisa says, we need a government that does not look into next election. No. We need a government that looks at immediate needs of Zimbabweans, immediate needs of a country. If you look at Zimbabwe, this is why you see today people cry that Tendai Biti must be Minister of Finance, it's because when Biti came into that office, he did not look into what ZANU-PF needs in 5 years' time and start providing the ZANU-PF needs today. No. The difference between Tendai Biti and Mthuli Ncube is that Tendai Biti looked at the affairs of the people of Zimbabwe. What were the immediate needs? If you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is what Tendai Biti used when he was a finance minister. He looked at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Let me just briefly say about it. Thanks, Maizo. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. This is what Tendai Biti used when he came to power, when he assumed that office, that finance minister's office. These are the differences, these are the notable differences between Tendai Biti and the Mthuli Ncube. That Biti looked at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and he started fulfilling the basic needs, the physiological needs of a human being. What does a human being want? What does a human being want? For you to survive, you need air, you need water, you need food, you need shelter, you need sleep, you need clothing, you need reproduction. When you go to sleep, this is when you are going to do reproduction. And it water. So these physiological needs were the needs that Tendai Biti looked into first when he became finance minister. He is different from Mthuli Ncube, who has looked into self-actualization. Mthuli Ncube started the Maslow's hierarchy of needs from the top rather than from the basic needs or basic requirements of a human being. Tendai Biti ensured that safety needs were provided, physiological needs were provided. Zvana love and belonging zvezve zvakazouya kana patanga tane kaukama kakanaka, wane pekugara, wane mvura yekunwa, wane mweya wekufema wakanaka muHarare wa muZimbabwe, wane wakurarawo hope, une mari muhomwe. And those were basic needs that Biti provided. He ensured that Zimbabwe people have got clothing. He ensured that munogona kuzvara muchienda kuzvipatara mishonga yako and so forth zvako zvese. That means physiological needs were satisfied, and he moved to the next needs. For the 5 years that Biti was finance minister, he ensured personal security, your personal security. He ensured that you are employed. He created a lot of jobs were created during government of national unit. If you look at family issues, people began to understand kuti avandi baba avandi mai. Vana vakanga vasichazive kugara patebhuru kudya chikafu baba namai. Baba vari kumusika, vakana mai vari kumusika, vana dzingori mombe dzemashanga vasina chekudya, vasina chekuita. So there was no family sense before Biti came. When Biti came, people started realizing family values. There was family sense. There was this connectivity between people. You understand? Resources were there, health and property. During Tendai Biti's time, even civil servants vakatenga dzimotikari. Tumahonda fit twamurikuona twazara muHarare twakatengwa nema-civil servants vakawanda when Biti was the finance minister. So Tendai provided your physiological needs and he provided your safety needs when he was a minister of finance. This is where Biti differs with Mthuli Ncube. When Mthuli Ncube came into office, he did not look into the physiological and safety needs of the people, because these were already provided by Tendai Biti. What 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀 did, he went into self-actualization, desire to become the most important person in Zimbabwe. He was looking for respect for Idi Mnangagwa. He had this self-esteem. What they wanted is just status, to make sure this is the richest man in this country. During Emmerson Mnangagwa's time, in 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀's time, this is where you have seen the worst corruption ever in our country, where people are just looking for recognition. They are just looking for status. Vana anonzani mfana uya uyo yokumabvuku anotaura kuti aka smuggler 60,000 kgs gold kubva nadzo muZimbabwe. Because what they were looking is just power. What they were looking is just freedom for them to smuggle their things. So there's this esteem in them that 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀 provided or opened for them. So what lacks now? What lacks now? Because Tendai Biti did everything that a human being required. And you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, as you go down, the hierarchy must satisfy things that help, or things of higher needs, things that people want, human beings want, for you to survive. Under 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀, you can't survive.
How long are you going to take? How are you going to take?
Ndatanga manje. Just for an hour or so. 2 minutes to 11.
Before we go to sleep.
And then, how are they?
Alright.
Ana South. Who's what Ana South?
No, yeah. Why? Mazita on the tower.
I know. I think it's pastry, yeah. But they didn't puff up, Saga. It's because it's self-raising plus type of structure. They are not, but
yeah, you don't tell. You can't even tell.
The grey on green. So guys, it's very important, guys. Man's what I do to our sorry, the umbotora na mai mwana. Tikataura dzedze maskati kandorwa pana. Saka, these are the difference. So Tendai Biti tried to make sure that Zimbabwe is a third world country. The people of that country do not suffer most. They wanted the people of that country to at least enjoy life. To at least enjoy life. You understand? So you find that term, a lot of people do not understand why Zimbabwe is being called a third world country. Zimbabwe is probably the least developed country in Africa. As you can't compare between Ziva economics. Roziva, TB Roziva, Dagabvuma so. Roziva. Because if you compare the government of national unit, how it conducted its business whilst it was finance minister, and compare today, where there is no government of national unit, whilst 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 is a finance minister, you can tell exactly that the way the policies being structured by 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗀𝗀 clearly show that Zimbabwe is a third world country. Is a third world country. But what does third world country means? It means least developed countries. In a simple definition, in simple terms, it means least developed countries. If you look into Africa today, the fastest developed, or the country that is developing at a faster rate, or fastest developing country, is Angola in Africa. And the least developed country in Africa is Zimbabwe. If you go to Maputo, if you have been in Harare, or if you have been in Maputo before independence, before Mozambique gained independence, or before Zimbabwe independence, let me safely say, before Zimbabwe gained independence, you couldn't compare Maputo and Harare. Harare was a sunshine state, Salisbury. Compare Harare and Maputo today. This is when you can tell that, yo, ZANU-PF destroyed our country. Compare Harare and Lusaka today. Compare Harare and Gaborone. We don't talk about South Africa, because South Africa is far, far ahead of Zimbabwe. Go to Blantyre. Compare Harare and Blantyre. Compare Harare and Lilongwe. This is when you can tell that Zimbabwe is the least developed country in Africa. There is a stadium being built in Lilongwe, a modern world stadium, latest stadium being built in Lilongwe, which it will take Zimbabwe about 100 years to build such a stadium under ZANU-PF government. So we have been reduced into the least developed country in Africa, if not the world. This term third world, guys, it's a premeditated, except to the third instead of the French Revolution. The phrase was universally recognized during the Cold War. Cold War, I know direct, ended recently. During that time, various nations declined and suffered. During the Cold War, various countries declined and suffered. We were part of the country that was declining. People never recognized our decline, our road, until now, when people have woken up and say, look, why did we leave ZANU-PF to waste our lives like this? So we are now suffering because our country declined. It is now the least developed country in the world. So third world were countries which are underdeveloped and are still striving to get rid of poverty. We've got low per capita income, high unemployment rate, high population growth. We've got problems with water. We don't have clean water. And we've got sanitation problems. Crime is leading to unrest and less industrialization. Zimbabwe is the only country in the world where industries were closed and the pastors opened churches. Then they told the masses to come into churches and pray for jobs. Makandiwa built a 30,000-seater church in 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗻𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃, where the whole of 𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 will go there to pray. They are praying for jobs. Every day they go to church to pray for jobs. But if you look at where Makandiwa built this thing, he was supposed to build industry so that these people get jobs. Instead, he chose to build a church so that these people can go and pray for jobs. And those jobs are never there. And I feel sorry for the villagers who are Masero, ZANU-PF. It's so pathetic that those people, they don't realize that they are under oppression, that they are being used by ZANU-PF. As a result, when you are contraceptive tablets, the good one is population control. No, our population is ballooning. If you see the latest census, Zimbabwe has probably 15 million people. And for how long have we been 15 million? And how many Zimbabweans are outside the country? If 15 million are in Zimbabwe today, how many Zimbabweans are outside the country? We are over 6 million people outside the country. So it means the population of that country now is around 20,000 people, 20 million people. So you find that there is unprecedented population growth caused by poverty. Vanhu varimo havasina mabasa kuswera vakavharirana vachinamana vachizvara. Andi muri kuona mvura mupombe haichabudi kuti umwe mvura utonochera tsime kana kucherwa chibhorani mutauni. Sewage haichakwanisi kuyerera kuenda kusewer system because kuti iende sewage yaya inoda power yemvura inenge ichiflasha. Inodawo matishu ekushandisa matishu not manewspaper. Naki day and night. Pakaipa mukoma justice. Adini muri kunzwa nyaya yatiri kutaura. It's so sad if we look at our status today as a third world country. By now Zimbabwe must have been a second world or a first world country. I am telling you. The rate of development that Zimbabwe was going through during Ian Smith regime, if we had continued with that rate, by now we could be better than England, could be better than Dubai. We could be better than most of these countries we have lost. Imagine with the diamonds. Imagine with the gold. Tendai was saying we had about 61 minerals that are on demand worldwide. But we are the least developed country. We are less industrialized. I blame ZANU-PF most of the time. They were busy. The Zimbabwe Federation of Trade Union led by Chinotimba. Vachinoenda companies, they were going into companies, demanding 51% share for Maimjuru. The owner of the company will remain with 49% share. But you didn't put any capital in the business. You want 51% share. And who took those 51% share? Bonam Gabi, Maimjuru, Idim Nangagwa and these twins. Iwewe kumasero hauna 51% share. Vanachiangwa vakatora GD yakazira boots kubulawayo 51% share. Philip Chiangwa atora. Ameno vakanga former their organization they called indigenous what and they went to take white people's industries. We've got Paul Westwood who's crying today. His company was taken by Themba Mliswa. So you find that as a result, the country got less industries. Those industries closed. The white people relocated to other countries. And what are we now as Zimbabweans? Today our gold is looted out. Yeah, our gold is going to Dubai, build Singapore, build China, build other countries. Our Mutoko black granite is built in China today. And we are not using it in Zimbabwe. We've got plenty of it. We should be having modern world buildings in Harare, built from that granite, black granite. But it's being taken to China. They are busy building new cities in China. You see? So we have got a political party that does not respect the will of the people of Zimbabwe. Vanenge vachingoimba chete kuti musangano wakasimba kumasero. Kumasero kurunzi wakasimba ndini newe tiri kunzi takasimbisa kumasero. We are suffering. We are reeling under poverty. We are suffering. So you find that third world countries, they occupy 6% of Earth's surface and 70% of population of the human race. And their total productivity income is only 11%. If you take statistics worldwide to find out how big are the third world countries, they occupy 6% of this Earth surface. And they've got 70% of population of the human race. That means 70 over 100, 70 per every 100 people live in third world countries. That means we are the most populated countries in the world. And in one. And if you look at our productivity is just 11%. Most of the countries who belong to this category were countries found in Africa. This is the most painful part of it. That most countries found in third world countries are Africans. Some of them are found in Asia and Latin America, down there. This is where you can find third world countries. Kuna dzimwe nyika, let me tell you, I know Zimbabweans won't believe this, but you believe me. There are other countries, kuna human race which has never been discovered before, which are being discovered now. Kuna mwana wasikatozive kuti kune ndege kunzeu, wagere mune dzimwe nyika. Kuna mwana wasikatozive kuti kune motikari kunzeu, wagere mune dzimwe nyika. Some of them have never seen a car. And these races are now being discovered. Ukaenda kuZimbabwe kundaitaurira munhu. Kune vanhu anonzi maiko vanogara kukapfura guruyo kuchenda wakuenda kubhodha ukanyemba. Kune rudzi ruriko rwemaZimbabweans ruriko rune zvigunwe 2. Rune zvigunwe 2 kumakumbo. Kumakumbo zvigunwe 2 zvakadai. Those people were not discovered very far. They were recently discovered. But they are Zimbabweans. Kaida unana kanyembo. Kumushakwana Eustace ukayembo ukanyembo. Kune tribe iriko. Vanozvarwa vane zvigunwe 2 kudai. Zvigunwe 2 chete kudai. Vari maZimbabweans. Ipapapa 90% of people in Zimbabwe, they've never seen anyone like that. And they don't know that such people exist in our country. Vanonzi madoma. Thanks Mkoma City. Vanonzi madoma. Vanowanika kunaka kukanyemba. Kanyemba border. Area yese ukanyemba. They are called Doma tribe. They are Zimbabweans. Ipapa panapa. In any church I have never seen them. Never seen them. Really say my nunu. I've never seen them. And it is probably the first tribe in this world. And matanga blaz in nazo zvigunwe zvako. Aiwa ndati vanhu vako ana kuti iwe hauna. Saka you find I've never seen them. I've never met them before. They are not far from Karoi. Vari pakanyemba border. And on. The Doma people vane zvigunwe 2 chete kumakumbo. Zviri se mainunu ndiko kwaiva nenganga ya Bob. I think so. Ndiko nenganga ya baba wa Eustace iko. Ndiko kwakateiwa river. Ndofunga rakazodhingurwa nemombe Bob wachibva karowa pasi. So you find what I'm telling you. Those Doma people were not found long time ago. No. And they a way of living which is different from every Zimbabwe. But they are there, the Doma people in Zimbabwe. Indeed, I've never seen them. I've never met them. So I'm just planning one day if I go to Zimbabwe, I need to drive there and see and meet them. The Doma people. Saka you find that Zimbabwe is a third world country. And in those third world countries, there are other countries which has got tribes that have never been discovered before, but which are being discovered now. And they climb trees fast like monkeys. Really? I need to go see them one day. If I visit Zimbabwe, I need to go see them, get some pictures with them. No water raw sugar, nemasamba, nemafuta, nemukaka wachimwa tea koko, uchigara nawo uchitoro. Avadyi vanhu here ndo nyaya imwe yatofana kubvunzwa. Kuti vanodyi vanhu vanofarire. Bozi unoenda kuno kumanguru uko ukasvika ukadyiwa. Unodyiwa kumanguru. Kwana Eustace Malawi unodyiwa. Ukatamba unodyiwa. They are very shy people. Yeah. I need to meet them. I need to go to Zimbabwe and meet them. Mgoma yuda zviri se. Mgoma inest zviri kufamba here. Ukaenda kuMalawi, uchingopfura border, Mwanza border rere. Uchingopfura border rekuMozambique wakuenda paMwanza rere. Pane area inonzi nzvimbo isina muridzi yayi. Kune rudzi runonzi manguru ikoko, manguru, the nguru people. I think they are the ngoni people. Vanonzi manguru. Vanokudya manje. Hanzi ukaroora mukadzi, mukadzi wako akafa, unodya. Hanzi chako unongocheka gumbo iri. Ndora unoendesa kwana tezvara unodya utaura kuti mwana wenyu akafa. But the rest nyama imwe yese ndeyako. Iwo nemhuri yako mugocha. Hanzi munhu anonaka kunge mbudzi. Ndakati vanhu vakaoma. Hanzi nyama yemunhu inonaka kunge mbudzi. Saka kumangone hanzi manguru. Vanowanika area iyoyo between Mozambique and Malawi. Pai. Hanzi unodyiwa. Havaseki vakomana vacho unodyiwa. Ukaenda wakatsvukira so andoti hey this one. Saka hanzi unodyiwa ikokuya. Andimona. Saka pakaipa guys, we are a third world country. We are an underdeveloped country. But we are overpopulated. Ukauya kudzimwe nyika dzakaita sana UK, varungu vemuno mukazhinji vanokudza kuti handidi mwana. Anozvarwa munhu otaura handi mwana. Anenge ari one mwana iye hadi mwana. Rudzi rwatopera. Saka if you see a third world country, we are known by certain traits. Kazhinji kacho we are highly dependent. If you go to Zimbabwe, the people of Zimbabwe are highly dependent to other countries. Ukaona ndo nyika ine ma NGOs akawandisa muSADC Zimbabwe. Inyika isina hondo, but ndo mune ma NGOs akawandisa. We are highly dependent on NGOs. Hanzi gaya wakumbira pekurara midnight onzwa mapanga kurodzwa. Manguru the nguru people vanokusota. Ikoko kanzi usavata kuya, usavata. Hanzi kana motikari yako yakafa tsvaga lift ubve ipapo. Bozi vandoona kuti uyo watouya nyama yatoita. Saka if you look at Zimbabwe's economy, it's a distorted economy. We don't have an economy now. Unoona kuti ndakanzwa nesi achichema kuti anowana about 7,000 here transport allowance. Apa bhodhoro reNivea remafuta ekuzora rikuita 15,000. That means pay yake yaanohora munhu haikwane kutenga 1 bottle reNivea rekuzora remafuta. Rimwe yacho ndakaona ichita 45,000 Nivea yayo. And murikona. Saka you under such conditions where $1 traded 3,000 RTGS. Atina kana 2 years mnanga gwataura kuti 1 years 1 bond is equivalent to $1. Atina kana 2 years mnanga gwadaro. But look at it today. It's 1 is to about 3,000 and on. Saka you find that type of a distorted economy is a trait or a character of a third world country like Zimbabwe. Tinema high rates of population growth, as I've mentioned. Tine wide spread of poverty. Namo munyika medu ndo yavuri kuona izvinezvi. Look at it. If you want to see this high rate of poverty, count how many CIOs have left Zimbabwe for United Kingdom from January this year to come nema COS visa. Taiti tikaenda pa live on Facebook kudai ukaona ma comments, imbotarisai ma comments machinjiro aita. Ndaiti ndikangopinda live on Facebook kana vanhu vachiruta revisit our old videos. Vaiuya ma CIO panapo. Vaiuya masoja nemapurisa panapo. Vaisapota ZANU-PF votanga kutuka kuti gezai chembere makanyarara vana Alex Zenda nana Mdara William Ponera. Vaiti vakauya panapa vaitanga kutuka munopisika chembere, munobata matuzvi, chichi. Vaitaura zvakawanda. But let's look now from January to May this year. A large number of people who have left Zimbabwe for United Kingdom are former members of the Central Intelligence Organization, are former members of the Zimbabwe Republic Police, are former members of the Zimbabwe Prison Services, are former members of the Air Force of Zimbabwe. Mapurisa ni masoja ni magadi. 90% yevanhu vapinda muuk nemacos visa vari kuuya kutizobatsirana kugeza chembere, vari kuuya kutizobatsirana kupisika chembere. Unenge uri mukeho mudhedhi, munenge mune zimai rino risingagone kufamba, unori hoista, wari hoista manje wori famba naro, paunozonosvika pachemba rinenge radonhedza mikonde mitatu yaunofanirwa kunhonga uchigezesa kusvika yachena. Imagine smell yako iwo uri mutoilet uchiita tsvina. Imboimagina iri yemumwe munhu iwe wakamira apo wakamutarisa achiita tsvina. Vaitituka masoja, vaitituka mapurisa, vaitituka maCIO. Imbo revisit some of my videos akudhara and read their comments. But today ndo vari kuuya, ndo vatiza the distorted economy of Zimbabwe. Ndo vari kuuya manje kuzo, as I am going, I'm just listening, I'm still at work. Sorry my nono. Listen, terra agodia. So I'm so sorry. I'm talking about this despotic regime of Idi Mnangagwa. See how many people have left Zimbabwe to come to work in care job. Care work, yakaipa. Because you are not coming to kuzodiridza murioka. Hausi kuuya kuzoshanda mugarden. Hausi kuuya kuzoshanda muindustry. Uri kuuya kuzoshanda nemunhu anenge achikutaura ndoda kudya. Adya zvinopinda mudumbu zvodigesta zvobuda. Iwo chako kuya uchibvisa tsvina yawo uchimugezesa uchimuita sei uchimupfekedza zvakanaka uchimubikira tea usora unozari kukewe uchida usingade you are forced to smile. I love you. Uchiko unoziva pazimba. Apo wakabva uri manager wako okay kuZimbabwe. Watiza this distorted economy. Wakabva uri a flight lieutenant army, air force. Wakabva uri major, wakabva uri brigadier. Wakuya kuno kuswera uchiti I love you, smile. I love you. Zvakaoma. It's not easy, ladies and gentlemen. These are some of the jobs. These are some of the jobs that we cannot do when we are in our country. We are people who love their status. And no panozoyaka esteem, no panozoya love and belonging. You are forced to be a friendly person. Some people we know have never been friendly, but you are forced to be a friendly. You are forced into this intimacy, into this sense of connectivity, so that you can work as a carer in this country. And in more. So the problem is ZANU-PF. The problem is this despotic regime that is in power today. The problem is we sustained that regime for quite a long time. It has gone beyond its survival period, or expire. Tine regime, a despotic regime that expired long time ago. But because of fear, we have kept it in power. They have rigged elections. We never stood up to say, no, this is not right. This is not it. We never stood up for ourselves. So as a result, we suffer widespread poverty. We've got poverty everywhere, every corner of the country. People are fleeing. Imagine if people manage to raise 8,000 pounds to pay a COS visa to come to do care work in this country. How many are fleeing into Botswana? Botswana has scrapped the issue of passport. You just take your ID. Wotopinda Botswana kwa unoda. And then one, akudiwe passport to Botswana. Yes, nezvo. Wakotakura ID yako wotopinda Botswana. KuZambia akudiwe visa. Kutongotora passport yako wotopinda Zambia. Wogara mazuva unoda. So let's imagine how many people have left Zimbabwe for Botswana. How many people have left Zimbabwe for Zambia? Problem, to South Africa, they are too barbaric. If you go to South Africa, you'll be macheted, ringed around with a tire and the satellite, and them on. So a third world country is the one that I'm discussing about today. Zimbabwe is one of the third world countries where poverty has been planted on us by ZANU-PF, where poor infrastructure has been set up by ZANU-PF. Zimbabwe's roads is a country that does not have roads anymore. We used to have 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗽𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 when it was Rhodesia. When we came into Zimbabwe, all the infrastructure is now dilapidated. Karadi, atichina chatinacho, atisina ma buildings akutange munyika mune hondo. Andiwa. Achataura unemployment rate. Taimboitaura kudhara kuti unemployment rate yakwira. Oh, tam 80% unemployment rate. Tam 90% unemployment rate. Right now, we are 100% unemployment rate. Those guys you see in army uniforms, they're earning nothing. They're as good as being unemployed. Those soldiers you see, those policemen you see, they survive on bribes. They're as good as unemployed. Because musoja, civil servant, especially uniformed force, in Zimbabwe, you work 24/7. 24/7. That means you work 24 days a week. 24 hours a day for 7 days. That means you are on duty for 7 days a week. So can I on duty for 7 days a week whilst you earn marisinga kwanise kutenga toothbrush. That means you are unemployed. Because munarutengesa madomasi road is better than you. Munaruta gold panning achibata 1 gram a day regoride is better than you. So you are as good as unemployed. Chauri kwanisa kupuwa injombo. Nechidenim, chifatigue chache. Nechibareta chakaora, irangu rakatonaka. Wopinda honze enda kubasa. Kana uri mugadhijeri woisa 24 hours, woita 12 hours wakagadha jeri. Wakasvinura so kuti bhanditi risabuda. Kana uri mupurisa unongomhaisana natsotsi murodhi uchipfurwa nekupfura. Zvidhonza imbwa. Kusvika wakutonza ramudhonza imbwa. Ukanzwa munangagwa aita kuti takuwedzerai, iwe fora wawedzerwa mari obva azoti tsvimbo nembwa. Oda basa rekudhonza mbwa murodhi. Chimhaisana nematsotsi kufira mahara. After that ukaenda kupera kwemwedzi, mari yauri kuhora haikwana, haina chairi kukwana. You cannot buy a toothbrush. You can't buy anything. You understand? So we have got a problem. Zimbabwe has been reduced below the characteristics of a third world country. Zimbabwe could be one of the most populated countries in terms of percentage in SADC. Because if census results point that Zimbabwe has got 15.8 million people today, how many people have left the country? Because roughly we are about 6 million. So if we add 6 million plus 15.8 million in Zimbabwe today, how many are we in total? So you will see that if you put that in a percentage compared to other countries, you will find that we are probably the most populated African country now. The reason being, we've got a weak ruler. Atina mtongi akasimba ane utongi wakanaka. Kudara, we used to say we are the most educated country in the world, or probably in Africa. We used to boast about it. Say today Zimbabwe is the only country with a poor education system in SADC. You cannot compare University of Zimbabwe with the University of Zambia. You can't. A lot of people now are kuna window, University of Window, kuku Namibia, ndo wakuenda vanhu. Ukada kutarisa vanhu vazhinji vari muZimbabwe, madegree avanawo chaiwo chaiwo. Vazhinji kacho ndeye kuSouth Africa. tainyeperana paipa. Vanhu vakuenda kunodzidza kuSouth Africa. Mauniversity kunana South Africa ndokwakuenda vanhu. Vane mari dzavo magold, anonzi magold mafia. Vana vavo vari muno muUK. Ndaitaura naEnergy Mutodi. Energy Mutodi ari paBirmingham. Ndaitaura naEsterek Mutodi ari paBirmingham, paUniversity yeBirmingham. Ndopana Energy Mutodi izvinezvi. Andimona. Saka tainyeperana Sterek. We are the most educated country. We have got a working education system. Atichina zvese zvakapera. Maticha hakuchina kuchikoro. Matextbooks hakusisina. Exercise books ekunyorera hakuchina kuchikoro. Imi vanhu. Education system yafa. Kudhara taiziva kuti exam paper raibva kuCambridge University. Raibhururuka nendege kuya kuzonyorwa kuZimbabwe. Raivhurwa musi wekunzi rakunonyorwa. Ndopaivhurwa exam paper. Iyo nezve exam paper rinovhurwa January. Vana vachizonyora muna November. Roswera richirivhaizwa pachikoro. Panosvika muna November, mwana wese anenge akuziva answer iri muexam paper nemusoro. Akunzi mwana ari kuA school, mwana akata 10 A's. You understand? Half, unonzwa kuti chikoro chese, A-level yese, vana vakaita 15 points. Boba mafunga kuti takadzidza Sterek. Ngaachiuya kumauniversity vana ye. Uone kuti anodona sei. It's because they are seeing exam paper before the exam day. They revise for a year in exam paper. And in on. So we have got a dead education system in our country. So if you look, agriculture side of a third world country like Zimbabwe, that type of a country is easily destroyed by calamities. You have seen what happened in 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗶𝗶. You've seen what happened in 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗶𝗶. In a lot of countries, vanenge vachitoziva kuti there is a calamity coming. Kana zviri zvirwere, unenge vachitoziva kuti kune zvirwere zviri kuuya. People are dying from cholera in our country. People are dying from natural disasters in our country. And we were an agrarian, we had an agrarian-based economy. But what we are doing is subsistence agriculture, which cannot sustain economy. Rhodesia was sustained by subsistence farmers, include on top of the commercial farmers. But today, all the commercial farms were transformed to subsistence farming, and that subsistence farming for the past 20 years has failed to sustain an agro-based economy, which we used to enjoy. Raw materials which used to come from those farms as crop production rose are no longer there. So industries which relied on those farm products have closed. And what were the consequences of closing those industries? We have lost jobs. After losing jobs, the unemployment rate has grown beyond our recognition. You understand? So food requirements are inadequately supplied. We can no longer feed ourselves. We need to rely on NGOs, non-governmental organizations. We need to rely on rice donated by America, maize donated by America, rice from China. MaChina is not varikugadzira rice remaplastic. Robva ranzi taa kuZimbabwe. Rekuti ukakanga sopono kuti plastic harisi rice. Hanzi ichokwadi nyika yaparara mukoma propaganda yekunyepa ina kwainodisvitsa. That's the problem. That ZANU-PF wanted to run Zimbabwe economy through propaganda. Propaganda will never run a country. What I'm saying here are the realities that our country is facing without propaganda. This is what people of Zimbabwe are going through in our country without propaganda. And more. So production in our country is stopped. Ndanzwa Mutuli achiti akubvisa import duty on basic commodities. Do you know what that means? Do you know, you guys, do you know what Mutuli is saying when he's saying there is no more import duty on margarine, on salt, on sugar, on milk? We have now become like a province of South Africa, because everything that you find in our shops is coming from South Africa. This is why they said, let's remove import duty so that people can travel outside the country and bring as much food as they can. Because we can no longer produce enough to feed ourselves. And anymore, farmers do not, if you look at today's farmers, they lack scientific knowledge. Farmers edu havazivi kuti ivhu riya ratinorima rere rinofana kutestwa for pH to see what suitable crops can be done. I was surprised soon after Hondo Minda. I was in Chipinge. Working at Chipinge prison. Kuenda kuchipinge kwayo ivhu rekuchipinge rakada kuti sere UK. Kazhinji kacho rakaita ngemutapo because kunonaya zvakasimba. Saka chibage chinonetsa kurima chinja akaita sechibage nefodya muarea yechipinge zvinonetsa. But surprisingly, macomrades akapiwa land kumafarms ayakwana wedhi kuchipinge. They started cutting down tea trees which have existed for over 40 years, 50 years. They cut all of them down. Vakatanga kurima chibage. You understand? Saka tea production was affected. Because tea was mainly done in Manicaland. It was affected because there were people who lacked scientific knowledge. Vaifana kuziva kuti what type of soil yavari kuda. Kana uchida farm yekurima, haunganorime farm mumatope meme, muchibage mumatope meme. No. Kuti dhaga riye ritreatwe rizoita loamy soil, it takes time from clay. That dhaga is clay soil, not suitable for maize production. But vakatema TSA, vakarima chibage. Chibage chainaiwa 12 months chinaiwa chibage chiri munda. Achiome. Ukaenda kuchipinge pai panonzi pamofana kuti chibage chaoma takunokohwa achiome chekuti because it's evergreen. Kunoramba kuchingonaya. Pamunosvika musama kana pamunosvika muna April anokohwa chibage pai cheke chinaiwa zvekunaiwa zvazvo. Ukanochikohwa unape kuchiisa achiome. Saka you find mama crops akaita sechibage nefodya zvainetsa kunana Chipinge. Zvasingarimwe ikoko. Zvairimwa kunzvimbo dzakanaka dzakaita sana Urungwa naMarondera uchienda fodya nechibage ndokwa zvaiita. Nana Mashwesi. Ukada kuona zvandiri kutaura izvi, go right round Zimbabwe and see where grain silos were built. This is where a maize could be planted. Ukaenda kuchipinga hakuna grain silo, hakuna. Kwakusina kana grain silo kana one. Ma grain silos waiona kumagunje. Waiti ukasvika pakazangarare pane masilos. Pamagunje pane masilos. Pa Lions Den pane masilos. Mukaroi mune masilos. Mbangeti mune masilos. Mashonaland West, probably the only province muZimbabwe ine masilos everywhere. Kazangarare pane masilos. Magunje pane masilos. Karoi ine masilos. Lions Den ine masilos. Chinoi pa estate ya Niko pane masilos. Banget ine masilos. So we've got 5 towns with the silos. Ukanda kuChegutu kune masilos. Kadoma ine masilos. So you find grain silos around Mashonaland West is the only province in Zimbabwe with the largest number of grain silos. The largest grain silos in Africa, second largest in Africa, you will find them at the Lion's Den. Lion's Den, ndokwayonema silos which could feed the whole of SADC. Kwainzi kuZambia wakaita nzara, chibage chaibva pa Lion's Den. Malawi ikaita nzara, chibage chaibva pa Lion's Den. Mozambique ikaita nzara, taipa chibage from Lion's Den. Lion's Den are the second largest silos in Africa. And they were used to feed SADC as a whole. And guess what? Nicole Estate in Chinoi, Nico Estate in Banget, do yaishandisa Lion's Den silos. Because varunguma bunumamo ese, they complained in Zimbabwe, Mumash West, that look, Nico has got an estate. Akarima one season, aruzadza ega matura epa Banget. Saka isusu we are incurring costs by transporting our products to Lion's Den from Banget. As a result, Nico opted to transport all his products to Lion's Den because he could fill all the silos in Banget alone. Nicole Estate alone. And that estate was taken by Grace Mugabe. It's one of estates that Bona Mugabe owns. To Nico akazopesera ataurira vanhu akati okay fine, ndine mama products under ma silos, ndobva avaka his own silos at Nicole Estate near Chinoi University. So you find now, from there we were supposed to have gone into a first world country, but we went back, we went down to become a third world country. Those farmers had scientific knowledge. This is why you see there were agriculture colleges like 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗶𝗰 agriculture college where people were trained to be farm managers, to be my domain. Vanhu vaitoziva kuti gore rino iri soil yedu yakarima so inoda lime, soil yedu yakadai inoda zvakati, neutralizing the soil. Chii plant tikabva pa plant yakati tonorima plant ipi. Ukaenda kufarm kwaEustas uko 10 years achirima chibage, 20 years achirima chibage. Varungu vanga vasingadaro, vaiziva kuti soil inoda kuchengetedzwa. Saka vaiti vakarima chibage this year, next year vorima nzungu. Manoodles aya aisiya nitrogen muvhu. Ukazorima chibage, there is no need of ammonium nitrate. Vaizviziva varungu zvese izvozvo. But isusu we lack that scientific knowledge that has taken our production down. So the government has insufficient funds, if you look at the Zimbabwe government, to facilitate or to help the farmers. Nezvikaona government painobatsira vanenge vachienda kumasero ne5 kg yembeu. Marombe ekuZimbabwe otambira vachiti were being helped by the state. Hurumende inofanira kuti kana ichiuya paprazi pako usina chaunacho, inokubvunza. Kudhara, soon after war, soon after independence, DDF yaive nematractors aifamba in every constituency or in every rural home vachirimira vanhu. Matractor aifamba every vachirimira vanhu eDDF. And waibhadhara a little bit. Kana wanga usina tractor, you didn't mind. Makunzanzi taipfumvudza. It doesn't make sense. Munaruti taipfumvudza arupuwa tractor yemahara. I thought Mnangagwa would take all those tractors, put them in DDF, then allow them to till land for every Zimbabwean, like what Mugabe used to do with the DDF. And so the government should come up with plans to try and help those peasant farmers to ensure that they up the production. And so another thing that we have hampered our country's lack of technological utilities. facilities for greater productivity and development. So this is why you see we are being labeled as a third world country. Ordinary citizens of our country, now ordinary citizens in Zimbabwe, can no longer build their own businesses. Hakuna mZimbabwe not business in Zimbabwe. Hakuna. And the government was ZANU-PF until Mauya in 1999. I was there too. We all destroyed. No, it's also we came 1999 to rescue a nose-diving economy. We wanted to rescue Zimbabwe. I wish if Zimbabweans had given 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗽𝗃 a chance, by now they should be enjoying the fruits of their sweat. We came 1999 after seeing all this, and we said we are coming to rescue Zimbabwe. As you are right, even in town we used to book 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃. Exactly. Everything zvakaurawa na ED Mnangagwa. You see, we came 1999 as MDC to rescue Zimbabwe from the stranglehold of useless leaders. Mugabe was now a useless leader, and the people have seen he was now senile, and they wanted to take advantage of his incapabilities, saying, he's our life president. Mugabe aimiswa akafa. Chiri chituna uchitoona ndara kufa kawo. Haachakwanisa kana kutaura. Achiti show him. Ndozvandoitwa kumusha vachibatiranwa. Akaenda kusummit, United Nations Summit, kwaifamba ngegakanjwe mudhara kudhanaira kunge chana chazvarwa nhasi so. Vachibatirana vanhu kunomumisikidza pastage kuti ataure. You see, so we wanted to rescue Zimbabwe from that embarrassment. Mugabe was now an embarrassment to the world. Was now an embarrassment to the country. Mukoma Timothy takaedza zviri sei. Mugabe was now an embarrassment. So we wanted to rescue Zimbabwe from that embarrassment. And we were met with a lot of violence. People were killed. People were maimed. Houses were burnt. Tine zvirema nanhasi zvakakonzereswa nekuti aida kurescue nyika. I was talking with my friend's wife, Tonde Raindra's wife. It's so sad. 17 years after Tonde was abducted and killed, for trying to rescue Zimbabwe, for trying to make Zimbabweans live a better life. We wanted Zimbabwe to develop. Because we have noticed that our country there is no development in our country. And if we don't rescue this country, we will suffer a lot. Look what happened now. The results were that. Even our defense forces, we have got a very weak military defense in our country. People would tell you, hey, we had the best army. I said, which army are you talking about? If you are saying we have got the best army, which army are you talking about? Those guys who are not even paid. They can't buy Nivea. They can't send their children to school. They can't buy a stand. You say it's the best army in the world. Because, come on, guys. What best army do you mean? Why are you saying our army is best? We've got a very weak military defense for the country now. We exposed ourselves when we went to Congo. That was a mistake Zimbabweans made. Knowing that we had a down-spiraling economy which could not sustain a living, we chose to intervene in DRC war where we were embarrassed. We were so embarrassed in Congo. We still have people, soldiers who went to fight in Congo who never returned home. If you go, Kunana 3 Brigade, and I'm not as a list, remember missing in action. Bodies which were never recovered from DRC. It's pathetic and it's sad. Worse now, we've got a very weak military defense. Very weak. Caused by ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF. If you look at health facilities, and the services that are provided in our health facilities. We definitely compromise our health facilities by allowing ZANU-PF to rig elections and destroy the country. When we came in 1999 as MDC, we had seen all these things and we wanted to rescue the country. Unfortunately, we tried to rescue people who didn't want to be rescued, who were happy with the dilapidated health facilities, who were happy with the rubbish services which were provided by the Ministry of Health. Then there was anarchy and chaos in our country. We tried to rescue that country. And that country, as I'm speaking today, believe me, believe me, Zimbabwe, as I'm speaking today, as I am speaking today, tonight, today is 12/05/2023. As I'm speaking tonight, Zimbabwe is on the verge of a civil war. Why? Because our government is a terrorist government. It is terrorizing innocent civilians. It is not allowing free and fair elections to be conducted in that country. And you understand? So we have got a problem today. And our country is on the verge of civil war. The continued incarceration of 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗽𝗃, the incarceration of opposition people, the banning of opposition politics in our country. It means when people want to free themselves, they need to go back into the bush and fight for freedom. The country is on the verge of a civil war as I'm speaking today. I want you to keep this video, ladies and gentlemen, so that when this happens, you will say, on the 12th of May, 𝗗𝗶𝗰 said this, that Zimbabwe is on the verge of a civil war. Ngoma koza zviri sei ngoma kwatiro zviri kufamba here. Andimona, the problem is we have got a government that is acting like terrorists. In other countries, terrorists destabilize the country. In our country, the government is a terrorist government, which is destabilizing itself to the extent that the majority are left with no option except to form a rebel group and fight these terrorists. Because what we need in Zimbabwe is to fight the terrorists out of the country. We cannot sit and watch a government operating as terrorists. Today, the government is armed its youth with machetes to go and kill innocent people who are just attending a rally, a political rally. The government is using the police to ban all political rallies and lock up anyone who say let's demonstrate against this government. You are locked up for peaceful demonstration. If you mobilize your supporters that, look, we are drinking sewage, let's demonstrate against the government, you are locked up. So those are clear causes of civil war. And Zimbabwe is on the verge of civil war. It's on the verge of civil war. Mark my words. Unless our government stop terrorizing civilians. Because in 2018, August 1, 2018, the government deployed soldiers armed with AK assault rifles, and the civilians were running away. Trained soldiers who are supposed to be disciplined. We saw most of them adopting kneeling position, sniping those civilians who were running away. And when a commander was asked why they deployed soldiers, he said the soldiers were firing 45 degrees in the air. But he forgotten that we are in a digital era where every Zimbabwean now is a journalist. He's got a computer in his pocket. He's got a camera in his pocket. We saw videos of Zimbabwe soldiers beating up civilians, firing at fleeing civilians, adopting snipers' positions, and started killing individuals, civilians who were running away. The purpose of riot control is to create space for people to run away. Once people have run away, secure the town. But our soldiers did not allow people to run away. They started firing, killing them. That is what we say a terrorist organization. We saw in 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀, when 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗃𝗀𝗃 was holding a rally, ZANU-PF youth came with machetes and killed innocent civilians. People who were just standing there listening and watching, they were killed by ZANU-PF youth. In a similar way, people were killed in Mozambique. In a similar way, Boko Haram is operating in Nigeria. Zimbabwe government is operating like Boko Haram. Zimbabwe soldiers are operating like those terrorists in 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝘀𝗽𝗃𝗀𝗃 in Mozambique. They raid villages and kill innocent people. They kill people indiscriminately. Women are bludgeoned. Children are bludgeoned. Innocent civilians, bystanders are bludgeoned. People are killed indiscriminately by Zimbabwe government. This is why I am saying, if that continues, the country is on the verge of a civil war. Because people of Zimbabwe need to stop a terroristic government. Zimbabweans must stop this terrorism. And the only way of stopping terrorism is to initiate a civil war that will make them will make them stop killing people, will make them stop terrorizing Zimbabweans. We need freedom in our country. The freedom that these people want to fight for. We need to go and have free and fair elections, which we went to fight for in the 70s. So we cannot allow Zimbabwe government to continue with the oppressive policies of the Smith regime, where 20 seats were reserved for a white minority, where people disappeared. The likes of Edison Stole in Mutare disappeared. Until today, nobody knows where Edison Stole is. In independent Zimbabwe, Itai Dzamara went missing. Ndabenyama went missing. Until today, nobody knows where Ndabenyama is. Until today, nobody knows where Itai Dzamara is. We have got a government operating in a worse style than Ian Smith regime. And the regime, Ian Smith regime, had to endure civil war. This is why I am telling Eustace that Zimbabwe is on the verge of civil war. Even if you don't believe this, keep this video. Keep this video. Zimbabwe is on the verge of a civil war. And the Zimbabweans, they need to stop a terroristic government which deploys armed soldiers on the streets to shoot fleeing civilians. It's an international crime. This is the crime that you see 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗃 play whilst people were being shot down in Zimbabwe by Zimbabwe soldiers. William Chinyanga went live on Facebook, cried for mercy to say the world, look, why can't you help Zimbabweans? People are being killed. People are being shot down, gunned down. Houses are being razed to the ground in Zimbabwe by a terrorist regime. And unfortunately, a judge who tried Chinyanga did not understand what Chinyanga was saying. And eventually they convicted him of terrorism. Instead of arresting the terrorist ZANU-PF people in this country, incarcerate them. They incarcerate people who are a freedom fighter. They incarcerate someone who is crying to say, why is the world just looking at Zimbabweans being gunned down? Why can't they come to our rescue? Chinyanga was crying for Zimbabweans to be rescued. Unfortunately, his cry was misinterpreted by judges and said he was a terrorist. He will never be a terrorist, and will never be a terrorist. So we are looking at a country under despotic regime, and that regime has used all terroristic tactics to stop a free and fair election, to stop Zimbabweans enjoy their country. Millions and millions of Zimbabwe are living today. If you see how many Zimbabweans entered this United Kingdom from January up to now to come and just do care job. The one that they used to laugh us with, na shepherd yuda, murugeza, murubata matuzhe chembere, murupisika chembere. Tanawo mashefu munomu. Vakabva kuZimbabwe. Vanatangoita nawo care work. Andimona. Vaive ma-lieutenant ku-army. Vaive ma-major, vaive ma-brigadier ku-army. Vaive ma-chief superintendent. Vaive ma-commissioner, assistant commissioner. Kunana prison ne-police. Tinawo munomu. Today, tikupisika tese chembere. Andimona. One day I'll bring Chinyanga live on Facebook. You give us a call and then you explain everything. Goma Justice, don't worry. We are trying to bring Chinyanga live on Facebook so that you can hear from him. And so, being a third world country is not easy, ladies and gentlemen. As we said, we used to say we've got few jobs available. But now, there are no jobs available. Ukafamba mu Harare mtown meme, vanhu vari kutengesa musika vakutengesera muroad, nzira dzavharwa. Mashops hauchakwanisi unopinda mushop, unototenga panze. Mashops haasina chaari kuwana. A lot of shops are closing. So we used to say we've got few jobs in our country. Now we've got none jobs. Atisira mabasa acho. So, and the government has got more mouth to feed. How is the government going to feed? And if you see now, what has increased is the rate of crime in our country. Majera agazara, beyond their carrying capacity. Young citizens of Zimbabwe are not so productive. We've got a wasted human resources in our country. Poverty has increased. As I'm speaking, the quality of health in our country is so poor. So if the government was keeping its statistics, you would see that the mortality rate has risen in our country. Saka tine problem, ladies and gentlemen. I've stated here that we used to boast this chitarota hastakadzidza. Vanhu vacho vari kuenda kuzvikoro vari kupedza. Vari kungoenda kuzvikoro vana, vabereki vari kubhadhara vasi kumira. Vapedza vari kuitei. We've got educated non-productive citizens in our country. Because of our economy, because of our economy which has stopped to grow. We don't have an economy now which we can say we've got an economy. So if there is no economy, do you know what rises? Is the rate of crime. Zimbabwe has got the highest rate of crime probably in SADC. Anchagaimari, everyone is selling. 21 farms, Panabonam Gabari 1. And the more. Can only small scale farmer, Ushinziri much bag. I won't have elsewhere. You have to deliver it to the GMB. Cannot deliver GMB omira one na nasma check is out vanogasa chibage goraka pera apana tawana check chibage chakaisa gorero tarime akagirwa 5 kg na temba muliswa yembeu une 15 hectares une 5 kg yembeu. You see, so akuchazi munyika mera achazi akuchazi kuti kunogadzirwa CV. Asana mboona muZimbabwe nakagadzira CV ni. Rekuti anza rutsvaga basa kuZimbabwe. Unogadzira CV rekutsvaga basa norwana kupi. The most hit members of the population are the children. Women and children, these are the most hit members of our society. There is this poor health, increase in death rate or mortality rate has increased because we have got this decrease in per capita, decrease in productivity. This has caused poor health. If you look at all the sectors of economy now, especially the ones that are working, because Zimbabwe chakushanda chete prison, police ne army, those vanhu vari pamabasa, although they earn nothing, they don't get paid enough to sustain themselves. Zimbabwe, there is no foreign investors coming. Remember, from ZANU-PF manifesto, they were talking about jobs, they were talking about different things that they promised to deliver to the people. But they delivered no jobs. For the past 5 years, in their manifesto, they delivered no jobs. They came to you and Anik Mangwana, we have got thousands and thousands of American firms ready to queuing to invest in our country. When they said that, when they said queuing, they meant that a lot of companies were already secured business with the Zimbabwe. So they were just waiting for clearance to come and what? And invest in our country. That was in 2017. And in 2018, after coup and after elections, we heard also those stories. ZANU-PF came up with a manifesto of things that they were supposed to achieve in 5 years. Today, ask ZANU-PF, where are the jobs? Niki, Nesoma Pens, yes. Ask ZANU-PF, where's the quality health? Where are the jobs? Where is the electricity? Vakamboya vachitinyepera Zambezi 𝗗𝗀𝘀𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 yapo haisina mvura. We cannot produce electricity. This is why we have got load shedding. But why do we still have 20 hours load shedding whilst 𝗗𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗃 is spilling? But we still have load shedding. So you see the type of people we have. Now they want to produce another manifesto of things that they are going to promise you to achieve in next 5 years, when they never achieved anything in the last 5 years. And more. So they are like trying to waste your life, these are wasted opportunities. These people are just buying time. They are wasting your life. Waste your opportunities. You are aging. You are growing old. You are not growing young. You are growing very, very old. By the time you realize that this is a wasted opportunity, by the time you realize that your life was wasted by people who were just buying time, it will be too late, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time to wake up. Don't be an unproductive citizen at this juncture. Being a productive citizen starts by you registering to vote and vote in 2023 elections and vote ZANU-PF out. Because ZANU-PF has never established any institution that works. All the institutions in this country, in Zimbabwe, are defective. So don't be highly controlled people. We are controlled by illiterate people. If you can listen to General Chiwenga, I hate attacking General Chiwenga, because mutupo unoera kundirame chingomnongedzera mndara uya ndotanda botso. But let's be honest, the old man is illiterate, and we are easily controlled by these highly illiterate people. No one in ZANU-PF hierarchy is sane at this juncture. No one can bring sanity to our country, to Zimbabwe. We have got an inefficient public administration that we are suffering. Most government programs are a failure. From 2018 or 2017 coup until today, look at all their promises. They never fulfilled anything. Their programs are a failure. Government employees are supposed to be given priority, and their families and relatives, but they are suffering worse, because a person who is selling wares on the street is probably better off than a government employee. You see, this is why, you see, we are saying, when we came to 1999, we wanted to rescue Zimbabweans from all this unfair distribution of government services. We wanted to rescue you guys. Hanzi mudhara udza mudhara wakataura hake neshona ndopakunetsa mudhara wacho haateerere manje, bhozi mavidheos ana hanzi anomateerera, but haandinzwi kana ndichitaura kuti mudhara wangu chiwenga uri mudhara wangu uri mudhara zvokuti ndikaramba ndichikunongedzera ndotanda botso, uri mudhara wangu chaiye. Pane zvimwe zvokunyatsoona kuti taiti kudhara isusu weduka, we understand kuti kudzidza hakusi ndokutungamirira. Bhozi kudhara kwaive nemadzimambo asina kudzidza, asi vaitungamirira zvakanaka. Vana Mwene Metapo vanga vasina kudzidza, vana Chaka vanga vasina kudzidza, vana Mzilikazi vanga vasina kudzidza, asi vaive neutungamiriri hwakanaka. Kutaura neshona chako chakunokudzwa. Bhozi isusu kudhara takambonetsa isusu muZimbabwe tiri vana vechikoro. Ini ndakanetsa ndiri kuchikoro, ndichitaura kuti why is it kana ndichida kupuwa basa unonzi English and Maths. How about Shona? I'm learning Shona. Shona is a language. How about Ndebele? So you mean if I pass Ndebele and fail English, I can't get a job? This is how Zimbabwe was structured. To the extent that we expect mudhara aitimanikidza kuti ukangofoira chirungu awane basa, ataure nechirungu, haasi kuchigona chirungu chacho. And ZANU-PF inenge always on the defensive kuti hey, English is not a measure of intelligence. Ndikati no. When we came from war, they introduced that 5 O levels, including English and Maths, you can get a job. Tarisa mapurisa 90% emapurisa aripo if 5 O levels English and Maths. Andidi hapana pavakamboti English and Shona. Dai vakati English and Shona, kupolisi ngadai kwakazara munhu wese ariko. Maths and Shona ingadai kwakazara vanhu vese ariko. They were supposed to have said, out of the 3 main languages in Zimbabwe, English, Shona, and Ndebele, if you pass any of them with Maths, you can get a job. Ngada tisina marova. Ngada government is overfilled. Saka we are listening to Mudhara Chiwenga. He can't speak the English that he was forcing us to have to get a job. I don't know how he became vice president without English. And it more. So this is where we talk about high corruption which exists in our country. That is someone who can hardly speak English, someone who can hardly read and write, is now the vice president. Unobvunza kuti ma-intellectuals akapera, ma-professors akapera, and unoona professor akarasa Jonathan Moyo ari busy kusupporta zvakaora izvozvo. You see? Saka tine problem munyika medu eZimbabweans. Zvese zvataura izvozvi zvakunopoinda ku high rate of unemployment. This is why we are called the third country. You look at the increasing rate of crime in our country. Murder, vanhu vari kuurayana muZimbabwe. Kungozikanwa kunzi abva ku-UK ane tumari, zvakuita kuroya. Unosi wachitsinga pahuro haufeme kuroyerwa tumadhora twakaisa muhomwe. Because we now have highest rate of poverty, highest rate of crime probably in SADC. And because we've got low per capita income in our country. So government on its own is now a problem. Because paunofamba kwamiswa nemupurisa unodhisa. Kwada kupinza motikari kubva nayo kune imwe nyika unodonzi bhadhara choko mumwe. Saka government itself is now a problem. It is causing this unemployment rate. There is no development. Development stopped. And we have got unutilized labor force, wasted human resources. Ukatarisa vafana vari muZimbabwe, kuti kana ukada kuti masoja unoziva kuti apa ndine masoja akasimba. Very good age, wasted labor force. Because we are a third world countries, we have faced so much problems under this ZANU-PF regime, and we have stopped developing as a country. Karin, say. And if you drive around Zimbabwe, you can see that ZANU-PF government is set up a poor infrastructure. The country has got no roads now. All roads are potholes. Schools are dilapidated. Hospitals are closing. Mawards are kuvarwa. Akusina mibhedha, mibhedha chakatyoka matress akuchina magumbeze ekufuga akuchina. Akuchina chikafu, let alone medication. Manesi acho akuchina. Makamunzwa nesi achitaura kuti I can't buy Nivea. Yekuzora makunchenda kubasa. I can't buy it. Andina imba yekugara ndiri kuroja nevana 4. So you can tell that problems faced Zimbabwe as a developing country are the government. The government is the problem. This government has set up such poor roads, poor schools, poor hospitals, dilapidated houses. Unotoona president wenyika sabotaging a council. Hakuna zvichemo zvavo kwazvinoenda. But you are collecting the rates. You see, corruption is now rampant in our country. Akusina kanhu kadika ungaita usina kunzitonya. So it has hampered production in our country. Ukatarisa income chaicha, akuchina chinonzi income. Ukabvunza munhu kuti nesalary here, out of 10 people in Zimbabwe, if you throw a stone, munhu warutema haana salary, haana payslip, haatombozivi kuti kunoendwa kubasa. Andiona. So this is a political crisis that we are facing, gentlemen. The difficulties that we are facing have warded away investors in our country. Akusina investor achauya. Please can you or maybe share by YouTube. Thanks, Karin. I'll upload this video on YouTube as per request. I will do that soon after I finish. And in more. So if we are struggling as a nation, we are struggling as a country. Everybody is struggling. Even those working for the government are struggling. Zimbabweans are struggling with the lack of employment. We are struggling with no schools, no school fees. The government said free education by the year 2019. It never came. Last year, when we were towards these elections, they promised that 2023 free education for all. We are in 2023 now. There is no free education coming. And they are putting it back in their manifesto that in 2024 free education for all. And the same conned Zimbabweans will be conned again. And in Saka urgona chinchakaipa manje. Theoretically, poverty has got a circle that you see. In that circle of poverty, chinotanga kufa infrastructure, industries, and so forth. Kana zvichinge zvafa izvozvo, chaunotanga kuona kuti nyika yaondonga third world country, it's low unemployment rate, or no, or 99.9% unemployment rate. That unemployment rate, it shows that there will be no production in the country. When you are not employed, you can't produce. This is the truth. You can't produce. And when there is no production, that means there is no income. Kupera kwemwedzi hauna chauri kuwana uhore nekuti hausi kushanda. Zvoreve izvozvo zvoreva kuti kana usina income hauna savings. Kana usina savings, there is no investment. And what are the results? It's poverty. It's like a circle. Ndoda kuti vanhu masoja, mapurisa nemagajeri nechii vese macivil servants nditeerere sei. 2023 igore renyu rekubvisa ZANU-PF. Why ndadaro? One, ndati nini? You are probably in your lifetime at the lowest level of your life, or the highest peak of poverty. This is where you are. Uri pa highest peak of poverty papo, ukacheuka kudai unoona rova, ukacheuka kudai unoona rova, ukamhanya kudai mutauni ukadhuma munhu wadhuma rova. So there is highest rate of unemployment in our country. Ukakanda dombo rutema rova, wapedza ipapo marovha aya vanhu varingoita well up, varingotenderera, havana chavari kuita. Vasina chavari kuita, that means there is no production in your country. When there is no production in the country, what does that mean? No one has got income. If you have got income, haunga open a savings account, une open a neusina income. Because kana une income unoziva every month ndochengeta certain amount of money. Kuti kana ndichinge ndachembera yozondibatsira, ndikarwara yozondibatsira. Saka unenge usina savings. That kana usina savings pakanzi patoto apa, you can't invest in anything. Haungakwanisi kuvaka imba usina savings. Usina income. Usina anything that you are producing. Usingashande. Saka you find that the whole cycle of poverty is revolving around you. Ukaona msoja achitadza kuita income, ukaona mupurisa achitadza kuita income nema savings, achitadza kuita ma savings, then woti uri munyika kuzoti iwewe rova uchazviwana kupi? So if there is lack of investment, obvious there is no employment that can be created, and those unemployed people will reel in poverty because they cannot produce anything. And so the results acho unosongoona usina savings. Kana usina savings, zvavarana hauna investment. It's a cycle that people should understand, the poverty cycle. You should understand the poverty cycle. Look on the mirror. Kuti pauri iwewe urikuitei? Are you working? Do you have savings? Are you not in poverty? 2023 must provide an answer. Provide yourself an answer, guys. That I need to start being productive after these elections. Because the new government, obvious, you saw it per government of national unity. That Honorable Tendai Biti, I'm talking about that young boy. Tendai Biti, that boy. When he was appointed Minister of Finance, ndakataura naye over the phone. Ndichiseka ndaida kumukorokotedza kuti Honorable Tendai makorokotoika ndazoti ndima finance minister. Roza akaseka achiti Yuta, unozotaura kwa TB Yuta. Ndikati I'm not gonna disk. I'm not gonna desk, I'm not gonna computer, I'm not gonna chi, I'm not gonna paper. Your office chete mune chair one. Sanzo ndakapinda moso ndikagara pa chair. Andikadaidza secretary of finance kati yapano. Saka tutangira papi. TV. Ndakaseka ndikati yeah, you are a man, you are a man. But when he got there in that office, there was no desk. There was only one chair. There was not even a file or a paper like this. The shelves were empty. Yanga office yodo wadikati yodo maungira. Kevi zviri sei. Waikonzwa maungira chete mu office. Anditola. Ndikati saka TB zvikanzi I had to start from scratch Yuda to make sure that I provide water to the people. I provide shelter to the people. The people need to sleep and rest, knowing Mangwana, we've got something to eat. They've got something to wear. We have to look into production. We have to look into a personal security of Zimbabweans. I have to make sure that employers are paid, employees are paid, civil servants are paid, bonuses were paid. I had to source the resources to make sure that everything works. Ndikati ndimi munonzi varume. Ndakataura TB ndikati ndimi munonzi varume. Vaiva vakanyorwa pamatoilets. Akafane kuseka. Anditi mona. This is something that we learned by Government of National Unity. But Tendai ensured that all the physiological needs of Zimbabweans were met. Apana mcivil servant akafa nenzara. Apana mcivil servant akashaya bonus. My war veterans, they were being paid $300 per war veteran every month. Vakaenda kuna biti, vakasvika kweka vakademonstrate, vakati mari yautipa ishoma. Poverty datum line is about $600 something a month. So we need about $600 or $700 per each every month. Vakademonstrate. Tendai akati wataura, I am going to join you. To demonstrate toenda kutreasure. Toenda kuna Minister of Mines. But mari dzema diamonds hadzisi kuuya hadzisi kupinda. Dai dzaipinda ndaikupai mari. We will never ever see another finance minister like Tendai Biti if we don't change ZANU-PF government this coming 2023. And Mruona. This coming 2023 must see a new government in power. Tendai Biti being the finance minister again. As I'm speaking, the war veterans are earning less than $20 a month. I've never seen them demonstrating at Mtuli office. But they went to demonstrate against $300 a month. Today they are earning less than $20 a month. They've never demonstrated. That is a barrier to development. And if people do not demonstrate, that means we have got a barrier to development. And those people have got no values, they've got no morals. They run an institution that they don't know its value. Being a war veteran must be respected in our country. But today, they've lost value. They've reduced themselves to be paupers. From $300 a month to $20 a month. But they can't demonstrate. They know if they demonstrate, they will be put in prison. Saka tukutaura kuti vabiti tukuvada futi 2023 unono. As one of the comrades demonstrate in the church in Msoro Nengeshamba, Chris Mchwango. It's so sad that they are earning now $20 a month, down from $300 a month. You see. Saka tukuvataura kuti vabiti when he came, Tendai redistributed the wealth and income of the country. He made sure that every Zimbabwean ate. He made sure that you have got sleep. You have got somewhere to sleep. Tendai Biti made civil servants buy. I still remember talking to one of my former workmates. I thought it was $650 a month. He bought a car. They come to, hey, I'm a mari, but Shapiro. But today they are earning less than $150 a month. Down from $650. You understand? Because BT, akati varume ngatigwane upfumu wenyika, mumwe mumwe awanewo paanobata. Waienda kubasa, you were paid handsomely. But under Mtuli hapana chauri kuwana. Taifuka pamwe achaita industrial development yaakapromisa achipinda achiti bond rikafoira ndicharega basa. Mangudya akati he will resign. I'm surprised he's still around. He promised us to resign if the bond fell. Now he's full. He only spit hatred towards Chamisa Agudya. And it's on. Saka, you see, Zimbabweans, what you need now is a big push. is a big push. The few rich individuals that we have, they cannot invest their money in our country. They are investing in Dubai. And now he's full. He only spit hatred towards 𝗗𝗲𝘀𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃. Dear no image, Ngoma Justice. So we need a big push for 2023. Because vanhu vari kuba mari, gold mafia makawanzwa wewe. They are buying bona vakatenga mansions kunana Malaysia, mansions kunana Dubai. They are investing your money, the country's money, in foreign countries. Oh, Mchangwa is an idiot and immoral. So they can't invest this money in our country to boost production or to make sure that they create jobs and make sure that we have got intensive industries where people are employed. They can't invest the money. Instead, they are closing industries. They closed industries. In those industries, we get a low bills, kuna madura papa church. Paimbo bigwa chingwa chine mazamu papa church pa low bills. And on, those who are extremely poor have remained poor, or we have gone from being west to west. So there is need of a big push 2023. Resources are now scarce. Atichina chatinacho. And those scarce resources cannot be properly used in a ZANU-PF government. They cannot be equally or equitably shared among Zimbabweans as we saw during the government of national unity. We have been driven into extreme poverty by the ZANU-PF regime. Ladies and gentlemen, if you look at the nature of taxation on its own, patiri kuchema kuti hatisi kushanda hatina chatinacho, Mutuli Ncube levied us with the 2% extra tax, which I believe by now is 5%. Taxation yatikurohwa naMutuli Ncube. And the taxation yacho is not even encouraging investment in industries so that people can get jobs. Unonzwa benzisa ranzi kushanda kunondibhadhara chi. Mnangagwa at 85 years is seeking re-election, is still looking for a job. Chiwenga, after serving the army 40 years, is still looking for a job. Iwewe wotaura ranzi basa kushanda kunondibhadhara chi. And on, you will never enjoy the economic rewards of our country. Our country must be a success story after 43 years of independence. Taifana kuzvigadzirira patotaura apa takazvigadzirira nyika yedu yekuti mumwe nemumwe ari munyika imomo anenge achifara. Anditi. But we shut doors to foreign investment. We are not even stimulated on the basis of competence. We should be competing at a certain level, international level, with other countries. Even our domestic efforts should have produced competent factories that people should be competing now for production. Export tengisa zvinhu kunze kwenyika. And more. But zvese izvo takazvikonewa. So we must put a big push. And that big push must see government, ZANU-PF government, lose power. Because it has failed, ZANU-PF government, to initiate or encourage and assist the development in our country. We have got a young man. We have got a young leader in CCC. Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa. From 1999, I've got a picture in where Aru Bikito. 1999. He came and told you when he was a very young boy that we've come to rescue Zimbabwe from this free fall in regard to economy. He told you frankly that your Zimbabwe government has failed to initiate, encourage, and assist development in our country. So we've come to rescue Zimbabweans. Looking at the human resources that Zimbabwe boasts, during that time, we had graduates from university who were valued everywhere in the world, who were supposed to have been given this highest priority to create employment, to be innovative. But because we had a government that lacked vision, a government that thinks about next election, it doesn't think about the delivery of their promises to put a country in a better position. We should be voting by results now. ZANU-PF should be coming to you with a manifesto pointing to you that, look, we developed this, we developed that. We had 99.9% unemployment rate. Now we have got 60% unemployment rate. If you allow us more 5 years, by the end of this period, we are aiming to have 12% unemployment rate. This is what we should be voting now. We should be voting. Look, but takaisa a bullet train from Harare to Kariba, from Kariba to Bulawayo, from Bulawayo, from Harare to Beit Bridge, from Harare to Mtare. You now travel from Harare to Mtare within an hour by a bullet train. You'll be in Mtare. These are the results that they should be showing us. They should be telling us that, look, we had the highest number of accidents in our country. So we came up with an idea for the last 5 years to make sure that we turn Loma Gund Road into a motorway. Look what we've done to Loma Gund Road. Allow us another 5 years. We'll do Mtare and Bulawayo and Beit Bridge. They've got no results to show of their previous manifesto. And there is no point to vote ZANU-PF now. Every Zimbabwean is convinced now that there is no, ZANU-PF has got no plan, has got no programs that should see the country improve in any sector. So what are you voting for? If you go today to say you want to vote for ZANU-PF, what are you voting for? The agricultural sector is dead. It was never developed. The Tauranya is a DDF pan. Atete QD, how are you? We want a government that makes sure that the agricultural sector is revived. That's where Atete, Masquera say monoma. Enough respect. And we want a government. President Nelson Chamisa very poor, who came from 1999 fighting to rescue you. This is now the time that you should see his value. Let's rescue Zimbabweans. Those who are voting 2023, please have this in mind, that you have got a proper leader with appropriate, who is to initiate appropriate technology that should see local conditions or conditions in our country improve. Takuda president ane zvido zvevanhu pamoyo. Varipo vachamisa. Varipo vachamisa. And it more. I say, ndakabvunza nemumwe munhu kazi ashapiro unenge unonyepa sitereki mufesi wangu ndakati zvikati mama wedza unongotipa madefinition soka andoshamisa kuti handanzi pandikazoenda manje paonline kunotsvaka definition mufesi iwo unoresearcha iwo ndikati kana ndichiuya ndofanira kukupai mafacts handifaniri kuuya nenyambo panapa haisi platform yenyambo inoyi iplatform yekukupai mafacts mazimbabweans tidzidze tivhurike pfungwa toona kuti kwataa kuenda uku 2023 elections munhu aroda kuvhoterwa ndiani. As a problem, people focus on bread and butter instead of key to victory. We now need that key. Thank you so much, Atete. Boss, ndaona cartoon yamakandisendera munhu akandirwa chingwa nemakiye kunzi buda mujeri. Ari busy kuswerera kuti atore chingwa adya ramba ari mujeri. We need key. 2023, you've got the key to unlock these shackles and go into freedom. Ndaiseka zvavo. Because unoziva kuti aga kuti munhu aitaura kuti agriculture hachisi chirungu. This is Latin, agriculture. It's a borrowed word into English, kuti agriculture. Kuti agriculture, so kuti aga, agra, or aga, zoreva field, munda weo. Cultura, or culture, zoreva kurima, cultivate. So it's not English, it's Latin. Agriculture, it's Latin. Agri, being a field, culture, zvichireva cultivate, kurima. It's Latin word for which was borrowed in English. And more. Saka pakawanda could isusu instead of tite gatherers. Because we are going back as gatherers, guys. So agriculture from Zimbabwe. But Zimbabwe, we are going back to Stone Age period where we were just gatherers. We didn't know anything about farming. Zimbabwe farming is like something new. Munana Zimbabwe. Adio. Saka Gatchage 2023, we have got a key. Let's not continue in this dependence syndrome. 2023, we've been given a key. The key is Nelson Chamisa. What you just need to do is use that key, open this grill, or open your cell, and go out into freedom. President Nelson Chamisa is the key. Let's not focus on bread and butter issues. We don't need bread and butter issues at the moment. We need freedom first. After freedom, then we talk about the bread and butter issues. Wa free, wa panza, wa kuchona ndabuda muutapwa, ndabuda muusungwa. Ande murugona. Ziri safe oji, ziri kufamba iri mwana wama. Ande di mwana. Saka, tikarega kuita zvataita izvi, we are going to die as dependents. The problem is, takaita dependent too much on non-governmental organizations. Taifeedwa senguruve, takavharirwa masero tichifuta. Tisingafunge beyond that. So, our economy was dependent on other countries. And more, which is a very dangerous situation, because ndakanzwa even Kembo Muhammad jaye Kembo Mohad na umudu wa Muhammad pamwe anonzi Kembo Muhammad achitaura kuti varungu, they never taught us how to run the economy. And on, we took the country and went straight into cultural things. Tichitaura kuti mbuyana vavaki maindustry vakahemwa vakafa kudhara. And more, we should have looked into influential people, today's people, very influential in developing our country. When we were talking about Mbuyana and Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe and so forth, tichinda back to cultural things, what did we do? We were relying on history, which we never developed our country. And we are in the same conditions. We are back to Mbuyana and time. Takupfeka nembe, kwenda kuZimbabwe undoona vanhu vachifamba vakapfeka nembe, hazvichashamisi. Because world economy was advancing, whilst we were busy reversing all the gains of Chimurenga. Reversing, because we said during the war that after independence we need to build our country to look like England. Because we were blaming whites that they were not developing our country the way they were developing England. They were not developing our country the way they were developing America, Washington. So we said, let's fight them, remove them, then build our country. Instead, we never built our country. We started looking at how Mbuyana was surviving. To the extent that kuti Mnangagwa akaronogadzira chidhori chaMbuyana akachuya akachimisa pakati peguta reHarare kuti namatai mbuya ava. akaenda kumachechi ese Mnangagwa akavataura, that's despotic. Akavataurira machechi kuti all churches for ED, pastors for ED, mapostori for ED, mabawa mahure kunzi mahure for ED. This is how we lost the plot with Mugabe. This is how we lost the plot with Zimbabwe. And that alone has put us in this economic shit where we are. We are now being told we are a shithole country. And we now depend on others. Instead, Mnangagwa will talk about re-engagement with the Commonwealth. Is he now admitting that he cannot reason? He cannot think on his own. He cannot initiate the education that we garnered as Zimbabweans, to the extent that we are going back to our dependency syndrome, depend on Commonwealth, depend on non-governmental organization. Zvikoro zviri muZimbabwe zvakavakwa nema-NGOs, vana UN and so forth. Isusu hatina chatakaita, vanhu vaingoba mari, vachisa ma-Swiss Bank, vachivaka ma-mansions, vachipa vanawo ma-21 farms. So in short, I am trying to say, our attempt to revive the economy of Zimbabwe now must be centered on Nelson Chamisa. We must not be dependent the way we used to be. Because non-governmental organizations vakati havadi kutipa chikafu tofana nzara. Vakati havadi kutipa mishonga, zvipatara zvinovharwa. Andimona. Saka taakuda kubvisa that dependence syndrome in us. The only way we can remove dependence syndrome is to kuisa president wechidiki anonzi Nelson Chamisa. Because now, to be honest with you, Zimbabweans can no longer afford 5 more years under ZANU-PF government. Believe me, guys. Because when it happened, kuti mabvisa Zimbabwe, mabvisa ZANU-PF government, ndopa muchaona kuti zvaitaurwa naYuda zviya ndizvo zvizvi. Because Zimbabwe can no longer afford 5 more years under ZANU-PF. Believe me. You can no longer more 5 years under ZANU-PF. The first issue you need to do is let's get Chamisa as a key to freedom. The second issue, we talk about the bread and butter issues after we attain freedom. The last issue is to ensure that your physiological needs are met. Because as it stands, kufira mahara, umdoda seyazibonela. So at this point, is a point to sit down and ponder or think. Have a view in your mind of a Zimbabwe under Chamisa. Have a view in mind, explain to your heart that my heart influenced my mind, or my mind influenced my hands and my eyes to go and see the name Nelson Chamisa on the ballot box, on the ballot paper, and practice that persistently. See Chamisa on a ballot paper. Go and put your X on there so that you can retrieve this country from poverty. Chiri kudiwa apa kubvisa nyika yeZimbabwe muutongi hwevanhu vasina kunaka. Andimona. Zvandiri kutaura izvi, you will see it after ZANU-PF is gone. Vanhu veZimbabwe tichatora shamu kuzvirova kudai. Zviri kuita vanhu vekuZambia. Zambians today vari kuzvirova. MaZambians today, they are beating themselves. Vari kuzvishora kuti vakomana, why were we suffering all along under Lung, under all of these political parties which made Zimbabweans suffer more, children suffer more, women suffer more, created this kind of poverty that we should have done away with long time ago. Now, 23 or so million in Zambia people were in poverty, which is being eradicated today by HH. And Murugona. Saka Murugona, Zambians now, their country is developed. Their country is being modernized. The country is developing at a rate that we never thought Zambia would follow that trajectory. Because they came together, the people of Zambia. They explained their poverty to their children. They explained their poverty to their neighbors. They explained their solutions to their neighbors. And they went together when time to vote came. They voted and protected their vote until results were announced. Because they were determined people ready to deal with their poverty. Today, Zambians are so happy. So happy. I've never seen Zambians achifara kudaro. Taienda kuZambia tichitakura mvura yekunwa isusu. Tayambuka pabhodha nezvigubhu zvemvura, mota dzakaremerwa. Kunoonwa mvura, tichika kunwa mvura yesewage yaive kuZambia. Now the Zambians are enjoying Western investment. Nyika dzekunana China, ndakambotaurira mumwe munhu akandirambira pano. Ndikati vana China, they are not concerned about the development of a country. They are concerned about wars. China yakatipa pfuti. Russia yakatipa pfuti, mabhambo kunobombana, tichiurayana, tichiuraya mabhunu titore nyika. After that, they abandoned us. We had to look for friends my Western countries. We had to look for friends my factories are. We had to look for expertise and equipment kuti develop nyika. Later on, ndakanzwa Bobo chakupenga chakudhunya chimudhara chakutaura we look east again. That we look east for what? And we never thought that had nothing to do with the universalism, but it was only individualism. He was looking east to go and invest his money, to go and shove his loot there. It was not look east I far out vatibatsire vanhu veku east, but aida kungoona kwekunoviga mari yake. Whilst those countries were busy developing, urbanizing their countries. Whilst isusu nyika yedu ichiora, vachingoya vachitora upfumi hwedu vachinoviga munana Dubai, munana Senegal. Una munhu akaramba panapa, hospital yakanofira Mugabe, that's his hospital yakavaka kuSingapore. And so they did not take our criticism lightly. Vanhu vezano vaifunga kuti isusu tauya kuzongocriticize nekubvuta nyika. Tavataura no guys, we need to introduce working social institutions. We need a working country. We need to rescue this country from these looters. People never believed us. Vakatanga kuchema, here you are Western puppets. Here you are Western puppets. Here you are Western puppets. Now, propaganda, yekunzi we are Western puppets whilst wanted to rescue the country. You see the results now. Now, Zimbabwe, it is better to be Western puppets than to suffer and struggle like this, whilst people are smuggling gold, making billions and billions of US dollars with their children, getting 21 farms, feed in propaganda. So, what we lacked during that time is education to the people. This is a problem. I thought my rallies will educate every Zimbabwean. I meet what we wanted. So, as a result, people did not understand us. People, some welcomed us, some did not welcome us. Thanks, Mainunu and Ilmona. Saga, we cannot reach where we wanted to get under ZANU-PF for the next 5 years. They are just there to exploit the nation, to exploit the natural resources, to make sure that they continue with this highest levels of corruption that will leave the country in a debt. You will continue to struggle. There is no progress that will ever come from ZANU-PF. And so the problem is, if you don't vote ZANU-PF out of power now, we are going nowhere. We will be dependent on non-governmental organizations and other countries forever and ever and ever. Amen. And it's good now that vazhinji vakuziva about 𝗗𝗶𝗀. We gained popularity recently because many countries now, they look for change in our country, for them to support us. International banks, they want change in your country for them to support you. So the world is now a more globalized world where our problems are shared by Britain. Our problems are shared by America. Our problems are shared by Russia. This is why you see muchiti kana mukaita disaster, kunouya mari, kunouya chikafu, kunouya magumbezi from developed countries. And because we are now a globalized world. So people must understand. Ukaona pari kunzi ZANU-PF itai free and fair elections. Make sure democracy reigns in your country. Some global brothers are giving us this advice. Because if you initiate democracy, no any other country inozokubatsira ichigunun'una. Izvozvo kuti mupiwe mari international banks vanozati imari dziringopinda maoko ana Mnangagwa vachinoisa banks enriching themselves. They don't benefit the poor. And saka you find that my international organizations akarasana World Bank, IMF havachakwanisi kutibatsira nokuti variziva kuti mari dzacho dzese tikavapa 2 billion inongoenda muhomwe yaMnangagwa naTagwirei. That's it. Saka it's all up to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's all up to you. It's all up to you, ladies and gentlemen. Hanzi naponela hondo anoiziva hero. Ponela iwe neni mudhara antakangosiyana kana ne 2 years 3 years. Hondo yakarwa tichingoona one test. Ukabvunza kuti hondo anoiziva yakarwa ndakatarisa. Hatinambosiyana mazuva makore ekuberekwa. Hondo yechimurenga takaiona, iwe wakaiona ndakaiona. Eustace haana kuiona, anga ni makore mangani warutaura. That's your correct. Angaita correct mwana 1980 Eustace achizvarwa. Ozita correct ndo asina kuona hondo afana. And tikutaura what we witnessed. As history will judge us, we are busy chiapo nganga ichibhinya mai. Yeah, no problem yataita. Yekuti vanaponela ava understand the world systems which are there today. And murikuona nyika ino pasi panapa ponela ndepema capitalists. The world is a capitalist world system and a capitalist world economy. This has been in existence from 16th century, before the global interdependence did not exist. Saka you must understand kuti macapitalists aya ndo varotonga pasi panapa. Kana ukaenda kwainzi socialism hakuna kwakamboiswa socialism ikasenza ponela. And a number of countries, my brother, they forged ahead, creating a core region with the result of the world being a peripheral. Nyika yakaita one, globe is one. And saka ezitonzwa mutaura zvana BRICS countries, they don't work. You never no ndokutaurira chokwadi that BRICS will never work because you murida kudimbura portion murida tobvisa US dollar toshandisa yuan toshandisa chi. That will never work mdara kuponela as long as these disparities in economy still exist in our country. Saka ndoda kuti mudzidze muzive mdara kuti ma needs enyu needs ema-British zvakatosiyana. You have been in Britain, you have seen how developed this country is. And if Zimbabwe had continued with the trajectory of development, ingadai kutaura kwatiri kuita Zimbabwe, tane ukama hwakanaka nedzimwe nyika, tichienda pa-negotiating table tiri equal with other countries. Anditi maona mudaraponela. Saka pakaipa. This is why I'm telling you that democracy changed in Dar. It's not the democracy that we used to know in the world. Things have changed. So isusu we did not change. We remained with the theory of democracy yana Mao Zedong. We remained the theory of democracy yana Stalin. When you talk about democracy, Kwamuri, you talk about Stalinism. You talk about socialism. You talk about communism. Those are defunct systems in a society. Ashashandi zviya. Hakuna Zimbabwe hapana payakamboshandisa socialism ikabudirira. Hapana payakamboshandisa communism ikabudirira. Hapana Zimbabwe. As Britain developed through free labor. Yeah, they developed through free, because they were brave. They were brave. The British were brave. Vakagadzira zvikepe, vakakwira zvikepe kubva kuBritain kuenda kuSouthern Africa. Kusvika vari 10 muSouthern Africa, and they colonized Africa. Musadherera vanhu vanofunga kudaro ponera. Musatombodherera vanhu vanofunga kudaro. Kuti oraiti vokwira zvikepe kubva kuBritain nezvikepe vari 10 kunopinda kurandi kuSouth Africa. Vosvika paya wotoona mukana wokuziva kuti land yese haisi kushandiswa, we need to farm, we need to do this, we need to do that. They started developing towns. Kubva tatora Zimbabwe until today, hapana town yamakadevelopa ponela. Ndeipi town 1 yakaestablishwa negovernment yeZimbabwe. Chinoi yakaiswa nemabhunu, Mutare yakaiswa nemabhunu, Bed Bridge yakakwa nemabhunu, Bechinafe yakakwa nemabhunu. Hamuna kana one town yamakaestablisha. Andinoona. Ukatarisa, ukaenda kuChina, vanoshandisa capitalism. Ma-Chinese, they use capitalism. Socialism never worked in China. This is why uchiona uchiti ukaba muChina death sentence. Ukaita corruption zvotwa naMnangagwa zvezve firing squad. Mukaba zuva raMwari ramuri kubairi firing squad. I'm speaking brick South Africa yapa mawani pakaipa. Andimona. Corruption irwa naMnangagwa inenge iri death sentence kuChina. Hakuna socialism kwayakamboshanda. I don't want to argue on that because andina a socialist country andakaona yakadevelop. Andina. Saka chiringoita muZimbabwe, Zimbabweans vangovharwa muromo. You can't speak. Vanaponela can't speak. Yeah, socialism. China hakuna socialism. Hakuna mdara. Hakuna. That is, you can read that in theory. There is no socialism in China. There is capitalism in China. I rest assured you. China has never implemented socialism. Never. Hakuna China government yakamboisa socialism. Hakuna ponela. I am telling you from an informed point of view. China has never initiated socialism. Akauya ma political parties aitaura nezvesocialism muChina. It never worked. It never worked. Socialism never worked in China. It never worked in China, Bonela. It's unfortunate that time ndo yapera. I should have ventured into socialism for you to understand. Because China has never initiated socialism. China has been a capitalist country on practically. There is no common ownership of property in China. Hakuna. This means the resources of the world being owned in common by the entire global population. That is socialism, which never worked in China. Ukaenda ku China kune ma-billionaires, ma-capitalists, people vane ma-industries in China. Because socialism is just sharing everything that you have. That will never happen in China, Ponela. Usambofoka nyeperwa zvako. It's theory. Practically, China has never introduced socialism. It's economic theory and the social organization that advocates the means of production, distribution, and exchange should be owned or regulated by the community as a whole. That has never happened in China. Companies in China are individually owned, not by community. And that's your perception. It's my perception, but it's the world perception. That China never implemented socialism. It's a capitalist state. It is a capitalist state. Hapana chinhu chiri socially owned in China. Ndosaka uchiona kuChina akuchinjwe government zvekumhanya. China akuchinjwe, ruling party remains ruling party. Hakuna democracy kuChina. Hakuna democracy. Opposition are in China. Ceremonial opposition party, they don't change any system in China. That is not a democratic country. Hakuna system socialism that ever worked in China. Hakuna. There is no democracy in China. At all. Look at some social decisions in China, they are not owned by the people. If I had time, I was gonna take you through what socialism means. China is a capitalist state. China, if you look at production under socialism, it will be directly and solely for use with the natural and technical resources of the world held by common and uncontrolled democratically. Saka, hakuna socialism yakamboitwa mChina. That I rest assure you. I rest assure you. China is not a... On theory, yes, they tell you that we are socialists. But if you look at China, it's not a socialist country. If you come to United Kingdom, every time this country is run by Labour Party, the Labour Party always introduce socialism in this country. Every time this country is run by a Labour Party, you will see the socialist way of doing things propping up in this country. Ukaona inonzi benefit system iri muno mu-UK yekuti rova rese robhadharwa, that was the Labour Party. This is how socialism should work. Ukaenda kuZimbabwe, 99% unemployment rate. All those unemployed youth should be on the payroll. Vachipuwa mari negovernment inonzi unemployment benefit. And the Zimbabwe government has got that money. This is why you see a socialist Labour Party in the United Kingdom, Britain muno. Every time painotonga nyika inoi, hapana anofane nzara munyika muno, hapana anoshaya imba yekugara munyika muno. But pakanga conservative chete, these are the richest idiots in this country. They don't want to share anything with anyone. And on. Saka panonetsa kuti mupanzwisise mdara. But I will have time tomorrow to talk about socialism. Let me call it quits tonight. Then come tomorrow, I will talk about socialism. Then I want you to tell me exactly where China is a socialist country. In that Kwete, China is not a socialist country. Those are imperialists, the Chinese. And they demand mdara. Saka ngatu mangwana titaura about socialism kana mchida kunzwisa kuti what is a socialist country. Zvizvatotarisira kuti nyika yenzi is a socialist country. Kana the political party zonzi is a socialist political party. Kwete ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF has never implemented socialism in our country, never in a day. It continued nechi-Marxist chisina basa chavakatadza kuimplementa vachida kuita zve-communism which never worked in our country. And saka ngatisangane mangwana mdara wizo ndikudzidzisi. I want to teach you. Hauna kumboita time yekuverenga politics mdara. Wangoita time yekuverenga simbi kuti dzinoweredwa sei. Engineering, photon, calculating photon energy. You had no time of reading about Karl Marx. Who was Karl Marx? Century ipi akasurvive. What were his works, Karl Marx? Karl Marx chacha akatombogara muEngland, muBritain muno, akamugara Karl Marx. And who is he? Aita nezve. Saka hauna kumbobva wazviverenga mdara. Both kanatasa my ideas are Karl Marx anga achitaura zvema-slaves. Ndakaudza mumwe munhu kuti uzati slave trade chaichayo Karl Marx had a hand on it. Achiintroduce yanzi feudal economic system. Vanhu havazvinzwisisi. But mangwana toda kuzombotaura kuti mudhara anzwisise kuti chinonzi socialism chii. Kuti azondiudza here kuti pane China payakamboimplementa socialism. On paper, yes. Not practically. And saka gaititi good night. Ndaraponela toonana mangwana. Night guys. Anchaimbi time yapera. Good night.